Welcome back to the Stateside Podcast. My name is James Ian Macmillan. To the left of me is
Alan Ashcraft.
That's who he is. We would like to welcome a very esteemed guest today. We have Lou. I already forgot the last name.
Lou Miceli from Palisades.
From Palisades. God,
Helped you out.
Fucking worst.
It's all right. No, my last name's just Italian, and you know.
Yeah. Are you Italian?
Yeah, 100%.
You do look Italian.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I like it. Are you like full-blooded Italian?
Yeah, I actually did the Ancestry.com thing recently.
Oh, nice.
I got it as a Christmas present.
I did it too.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting at first because, you know, I'm actually like primarily Sicilian, and you know, a lot of that background came from, you know, the Middle East, Africa, stuff that's, you know,
right.
part of the reason why our skin color is so dark and stuff like that, the dark hair.
Yeah.
And when I first got it back, I got back what I thought I was going to get back anyway. You know, it said like, you know, like 18% Middle Eastern, you know, 10% African, like all that kind of stuff. And then it did like an update. And I was like, oh, cool, maybe more stuff. And then the update just said 100% Sicilian.
Oh, whoa.
And I was like, oh. Okay.
What do you mean update? What does that mean?
I guess the more people that do it, that like submit it,
I see.
like it
Yeah.
narrows it down further. But to me, it kind of narrowed it down like less.
Yeah, that's more vague now.
Yeah, right. Maybe
So when was the first test you did?
I only did one test, but you spit in the vial, you send
Yeah.
it away. That was Christmas of last year.
Ancestry DNA?
Yeah, Ancestry.com.
Okay, right.
Spit in the vial. But then they have the other one, 23andMe,
Yeah, I haven't done that one.
and I think that one's more accurate.
That's what I hear.
That's actually, that's the one I did.
You did that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
'Cause they tell you stuff about like your diet and stuff, right? Your
Yeah,
height and
they'll
stuff like that.
tell you about your caffeine dependency levels or sensitivity rather.
See, I would rather.
wow.
I wish I would have done that one because
Yeah.
this one literally. I'll show you my phone later. It literally just says Italian.
Right.
Yeah, it's so
That's it.
lazy.
Like, thanks.
Yeah.
So
Kind of already
lazy.
knew that.
Yeah, I think I already knew that one. You know what I mean?
Well, as you can tell by the flags on the wall, I am very, very Irish and Scottish.
Yes.
Mostly Irish, but
Very
my
nice.
last name is a Scottish name, Macmillan.
Very cool. Scotland is amazing. I love that country.
It's
Been
beautiful.
there a few
Yeah.
times.
Me too.
Ireland, only been to the airport. Only was in
Okay.
Dublin.
Oh,
The
okay.
airport.
Yeah.
I had family there, so we went and hang out there. But
That's amazing.
yeah, we were talking about it a couple episodes ago. It's so much fun. I mean, most of Western Europe is a good time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love most of Europe in general. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? For me, I think my favorite place is I love Germany. Germany's great. Czech Republic, Prague, Amsterdam. You know, Spain is beautiful. France.
Right.
France can be a little dirty sometimes. It's like
Little dirty.
Yeah.
I agree.
like just like in the streets.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Berlin was kind of like that, and so was Rome. I wanna
Yeah,
say.
Rome. Yeah.
Yeah. Dog
Reminds
shit everywhere.
Yeah, reminded me like of New York City, which I live
Yeah.
in Jersey, so I'm like right.
Oh, that's
across
where you
the-
live now?
Yeah, I live in Jersey. Yeah.
Okay.
So but I mean, the people are great. It's a beautiful city, regardless of that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Portland. I'm looking at the signs of her in here, but no. But Paris is great. I went to a few other places there, but yeah, Europe is beautiful.
Europe's dope. Is this all from touring?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
every place I've ever been to in the world is from touring for the most part.
It's one of the best parts about being in a band.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
If not the best part.
It's not the best.
Yeah. Like my favorite place that I've ever been to though is definitely Japan. Like
You guys toured Japan?
we did like a 4-day weekend thing.
How was that?
Incredible.
That's all I've ever heard.
Oh my god.
I had a friend who played in a band called the Epoxies.
Mm-hmm.
The Epoxies were on Fat Records, owned by Fat Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
NoFX.
Yeah.
And so they used to tour NoFX all the time. They just had a really good gig where they got to open for bigger punk rock,
Yeah.
new wave kind of bands.
That's sick.
And yeah, anyway, he did Japan like 5 times, and he always talked about how just fucking incredible Japan was to play.
It's okay, so
Like just the best.
I told you this a little bit before we got on the show, but I'm a huge like anime weeb, like comic nerd, all that stuff. And for me and our drummer Aaron in our band, like that was like heaven to us. Like that was like the mecca of like everything we love in life.
Right.
And not only that, but like the people are so incredible. They're so humble and sweet and like you know caring and they're
it's
just
clean.
Oh my god. Like we were just talking about New York and like Paris, but like I could literally eat off of the street.
Right.
in
That was the thing
Tokyo.
that my buddy
Damn.
kept saying. Tim was like, yeah, and even the venues are clean.
Everything's clean.
Like punk rock, hardcore venues are fucking clean.
Yeah, I mean, I think the culture is just so respectful.
Well, it's also because it's definitely that. there's like a custom respect thing, but it's also really geographically small.
True.
And there's a ton of people in a very small area.
Right.
So they sort of have to be.
Yeah.
They've learned over time that like
Otherwise, it'd be chaos, right?
there's just be fucking chaos.
Yeah.
We're all diseased.
It's clean there because, man, when they get dirty, it's behind closed doors.
It's like real weird.
Tentacle porn
Tentacle
and fucking
porn.
bondage shit.
Oh man.
My
Keep
mom
the
is
venues
obsessed
clean,
with
but-
watching like Japanese drama right now on Netflix.
Oh, yeah,
Korean and Japanese shows.
Dude, okay, so
Just find so
our
funny.
drummer Aaron is also obsessed with watching that.
It's a thing.
There's
it's
one
a thing.
show called like Lake House or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Is it
Yes, I've
Japanese?
seen like
Yeah.
I've seen little hits of it on YouTube. I've never watched it fully, but
It's like if the real world was wholesome.
yeah.
Whoa.
And it's just like these 6 strangers, they meet in a house, they're like aged from like 18 to like 28, and you know, they're trying to find love, blah blah blah. But the weird part of the show, it's super wholesome. Like it's not like crazy fighting or anything like that. It's like real, everyone's really nice. But then, okay, so there's that aspect of the show. And then in between the episode, there's like 3 breaks. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And it's people watching the show. Like us. It'd be like a camera crew filming us watching the show and giving our opinions on what just happened on the show.
That's great.
That's so
Pretty
fucking
interesting, right?
Japanese.
Yeah.
That's the most
that's
Japanese shit
super
ever.
duper Japanese.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Japan was amazing, and then also like we're really good friends with the band One OK Rock.
Oh yeah.
And
also a Crummet band, I think.
I believe, yeah, they
Yeah.
did some work with him.
I think. Am I
Did
making
they
that
do
up?
some work with him?
I want to say yes, but I
I know
don't
he
know.
did a Japanese
I'll
band.
be honest with you, I'm so bad when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Oh,
like
me
knowing
too.
exactly what band went where.
It's
Yeah.
so hard to keep up with.
So many people go to so many different places. I think they did. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, maybe it's not that band. I know-
Feldman. It was Feldman.
John Feldman.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because they're like big,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went to Feldman for a few things, but
That makes more sense.
I don't know. But it could be possible that Kermit mixed and mastered some stuff.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure.
It could
He-
just be, I don't know if you're
Who's
doing
that
this,
fucking
James,
band?
but what I'm doing is I'm thinking of that one. They like stayed, the band stayed for a while,
That's
right?
what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
You're
which is
thinking of the-
incredibly racist of us because it was just a different,
Just
and they might not have
generally
even been Japanese.
No,
dude.
there was a Japanese band that did stay with him, and actually, fun fact about that, I was supposed to be a guest vocalist on them, but it just scheduling wise didn't work out.
okay.
We were working on the new
What's the
record.
fucking name of that band?
I'll never remember.
They're not
Actually,
a Rise band?
No. I want to say the name starts with an S, but I mean that's
I
not
literally,
helpful.
I'll check my
Crummet's
DMs earlier.
gonna
I
listen to
forget
this
the
and
name
just
of it
start
right now.
freaking out.
Yeah, make sure Crummet hears this. Send it to him. Send him a little clip.
But it was really cool though because like when we were there, One OK Rock was there with Issues and Sleeper and Sirens, and they were doing their own show. And their One OK Rock, I don't know if you know this or not, but they're like the Justin Bieber of rock music.
Yeah,
They're,
it's
like,
massive over
They-
yeah.
So they
Massive.
played this like 40,000 people show, and we played like a show to like 300 people, which was amazing though because first time ever being there. You know, sorry if I'm burping a lot. I'm drinking
burp all the
beer
time.
and LaCroix.
Yeah.
so-
Just double fisting.
It's good for body.
fizzy shit.
But like it was amazing because we already were friends with Taka and the One OK Rock guys, and of course Sleeping and Issues. So we got invited to this like after party, and it was just wild. Like it was so
wow.
cool. We went to
Like real rock star shit.
yeah, like we went into this. We went to 2 different places. We went into the first one, and you know Taka didn't want to be there anymore, so we got everybody up and left, and we all just got into Ubers that he just had, and then we just went to another bar called like New Lex or something like that, and the owner of the bar there came up to us and was like, "What do you want to drink?" And we were like, "Oh, our drummer Aaron again." I keep bringing him up. He just because he's so into this whole Tokyo experience. With me.
Yeah.
He was like, "Can I get like Di Serono and Coke?" And they were like, "Yeah, absolutely." Brought it over, and it was 3 bottles of Di Serono and 3 bottles of Coke, and we were just like, "Whoa!" Like,
Whoa.
just a crazy night.
Right.
Aaron wound up getting a little sick and having to leave.
This is in Tokyo?
Yeah,
I
in
assume?
Tokyo.
Yep.
Puked all in the taxi cab on the way back home. He was trying to use Google Translate to translate to this poor man. I'm so sorry for my friend ruining your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And he can't do it in English. and-
Yeah. But it all in all, it was a
Boy.
great experience. Got to play so many cool video games, and
So cool.
yeah, the one thing we messed up on though is the merch we brought over. The merch we brought over, we thought it'd be really cool if we did like all like anime themed merch, you know, and we even had a shirt that said Palisades and katakana, and it was Japanese.
Okay, and so that didn't go over?
No, they didn't like it. They didn't want it.
So that's like going to Ireland with a bunch of shamrock shit.
Yeah, they're like, we see.
I like the Dropkick Murphys too, guys.
Yeah,
like,
they're like, we see this every day.
Right,
Where's
right.
the American stuff? And I'm
Right.
Like, oh, I'm
that's
so
why.
stupid.
That's why they like you.
Yep.
Exactly. So
Dude, next time.
Advice to any band listening to this: bring over literally just American flag stuff.
Yes, American flag, fucking
most patriotic
Uncle
merch
Sam,
you have. Yeah,
Bald Eagles.
Yeah.
You should have like the do the fucking.
literally.
just play the American national anthem
Yeah.
during the set, and no, I'm just kidding.
Just a bunch
That's
of Uncle
fucking
Sam
hilarious.
shirts.
Yeah, right.
Dude, now you got me wanting to watch Lost in Translation.
Oh yeah,
God, I
Never
love that
seen
movie.
it.
I've never seen it either. Actually.
God damn it, guys!
I hear about
What
it all the time.
what is that? Is that
It's
was
so
a
good.
Was
Yeah, it was a movie.
right? Like
Yeah.
from a while ago, right?
Is that the Bill Murray one?
Bill Murray.
The Steve
Bill Murray
Zissou or
and early Scarlett Johansson. God damn it, she's so fucking hot in that.
She is very. Yeah.
Who directed it? Oh, Sofia Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
What's it about?
love her vibe movies.
Yeah, what is it about?
So it's loosely based on Sofia Coppola's experience going to Japan with her recent husband that she just married, who is supposed to be Spike Jonze,
Oh, okay.
the director and skater guy.
Yeah.
And so they go to Tokyo, and she tags along with him, and he's like a photographer in the movie.
Right.
And he's supposed to be taking pictures of like Japanese bands and stuff. And so anyway, and they're there for like an extended stay for like a month or two. And so she's just like dicking around Tokyo by herself in this hotel. And anyway, she runs into this American businessman, Bill Murray, and they develop this friendship, borderline like love relationship.
Right.
They never go there, but they get really close. And it's just so fucking beautiful. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Just like
Yeah, we
really
gotta
well
check that out.
shot.
Really well done. The music kicks ass. A lot of
90s
like
movie or
like 2004, I want to say.
2004. Okay, like that age movies, like late 90s, early 2000s, is like a really good time.
It's
for
so
movies.
good. It's
Yeah.
like you would love it.
Yeah.
If you like Japanese,
Oh,
that world.
I just love movies in general.
Me too.
Super huge. Like I love.
It's my favorite art form. I mean, music is number one,
Yeah,
but pretty much right below it.
dude. I think it's just it's just so different. It's such a different form of storytelling.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's almost like the realist form.
I agree.
You know? Like,
And it has so many different like types of art forms.
totally.
It's a visual thing, so like photography, a director of photography, then obviously acting, writing,
The scores of
the music. It involves
Yeah, it's
our
still-
favorite thing,
Yeah.
music.
Dude, yeah, you get some Hans Zimmer shit in there.
Dude,
you will feel
The
something.
vibe, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like you look at all the acclaimed directors.
Yeah.
And how they decide to shoot their shots of everything, and like foreshadowing shots. Or
Yeah.
like the meticulous
Fascinating.
details that go into. It's so different from music because like you can only throw so many meticulous things into music. You can put stuff in the background.
Yeah.
But just visually seeing it and there being a reason for it. That's
And
such a different
and
thing.
and it's not like there's story like plot in music, with lyrics and stuff, because you're a singer, you know about that. But it's not the same. Like in movies, they're telling a story.
Yeah.
So everything matters. Like the way you picked up your drink.
Sure.
Why is there a candle in that room? Why did they blow the candle out as the person walked through the door? Like there's all these fucking metaphors and foreshadowing, and it's endless.
Did you guys watch on Netflix? What was it? Haunting Hill?
We started.
Haunting
I-
of Hill House.
Yes, I want to
No.
keep watching it. It's
Oh,
fucking
all right.
so dope.
Damn, I wish I could talk to you about the ending of it.
Yeah,
but
please
I
don't,
can't.
because I want to go check it out.
What I'll say, no, spoiler free, is when you're done watching it, the last scene of the movie is very important, or of the show is very important, and then go look online about it. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Super crazy
I like this.
Easter egg that I didn't even think about, and after I read that, I was like, holy fuck.
Holy shit.
That fucked me up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Are you like at the beginning of it, or?
Yeah, like very beginning. So my wife has watched all of it, and then she made me watch it again with her,
Right.
and we only watched 2 episodes.
Gotcha.
I think 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Another show on Netflix that I actually didn't like at all, that kind of was very popular, was that Sabrina show.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Black Mirror, and I was going to flip
No,
this table
no,
and
dude.
like
Black Mirror's
light
incredible.
everyone on fire.
I didn't really love Bandersnatch though.
I loved it.
Okay, so
I understand because my wife's kind of on your side. I think.
Yeah,
Like she loved it, but I think she was a little let down.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, right?
Yeah.
We
Have you seen it?
We had
I
lunch,
did, yeah.
We had lunch today.
I watched it with my mom.
Yeah. Your mom made all the crazy choices.
Yeah. My mom wanted me to like kick my dad in the balls and like
Chop up the body.
go do acid with Colin instead of go to therapy.
Yeah.
So
and I was like a fucking Boy Scout. I did all the right shit, ended up fucking dead anyway.
You watched the new?
Yeah, I watched it, and it was funny because my mom, because I have Apple TV, and it was like,
By the
oh,
way, spoiler alerts. Like
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I have Apple TV, and that doesn't have the fucking choose your own adventure technology, which is insane.
It didn't warn you.
Well, no,
It did on ours. It said this is not compatible.
Yes, that's what it did for
Go
me.
to PS4 or
and all I
something
could do was watch the trailer, and I'm
Okay.
like, what the fuck is going? There's
Right.
only a trailer,
Oh.
and then
Same for us.
I was talking to Chris at Rise, and he was like, just do it on your PS4. I'm like, why the fuck would it work on my it's Apple TV? And he was like, I know it's stupid, but just. So then my mom is sitting right where you are, and I'm right here, and we have the PlayStation 4 controller here. And every time you're about to have to make a choice, it vibrates.
Yeah.
And by the like fifth one, my mom was like, oh, like she was experiencing stress. Every time it would vibrate, she's like,
That's so
fucking
cute.
pick something. Like we hated the responsibility.
for me, that it was just the 10-second choice. Like you had 10 seconds.
I know,
and
that
was
too.
It. And
Yeah.
there's one scene in it where you have to type the phone number in.
Yeah. Did
And
you get it right?
No, because I was sitting with my
See,
girl-
I watched it 6 times through, so I finally got it right.
Okay, so I was watching with my girlfriend, and like,
We did all the different endings.
oh,
Fuck
okay,
that.
I was watching with my
It was
girlfriend.
like 3-4 hours.
Yeah, I bet. I literally panicked. I was like,
Maybe
wait.
more.
I was like, what'd you say? 2, 8, 9, 7?
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like, no, 205. I'm like, ah. Like, it was bad. And
I have I think it's if you choose something, like it's all depending on how you chose it the first time. So you may
Exactly.
intentionally get the wrong number.
Same with Dad's fucking lockbox thing, the 3 digits
Yes.
or the 3 letters.
Yep.
Those are different the 2 times I did it.
right, yeah, toy packs. and
Toy
pack.
packs
Yeah.
and pack. Yeah.
Yep.
Also,
And then JDF or JFD or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh, I never got that.
I never got
Yeah.
that one either.
The very first time it was either I think it was PAX and then JDF, which is the initials of the author. And then the second time it was toy or pack, I think.
So, I just read today actually. I go on IGN.com like every day. It's like one of my favorite websites, and they had an article on there saying that there are so many endings that even or not endings, and so many choices
Yeah.
that there's apparently another ending that the director can't find.
Holy
He can't figure out. He doesn't remember what the combination was for it. So there is one.
Wow.
secret
You mean like
ending.
through the footage, or like it's there, but he doesn't? What
He
do you
doesn't
mean?
know how to get to it.
Like,
Like
he,
the footage is in the movie,
Yeah.
but he doesn't know the choice to get to access it.
I mean, I believe that.
okay.
I got that vibe because
That would actually make sense if you. Yeah.
So there is probably one ending out there that is like a secret egg, like an Easter egg.
well, that's got to be mostly because of the kill screens. When it takes you to that little like, okay, where do you want to start from? You fucked up.
Right. The
And then
first one I did was when I chose to stay at the office to work.
Right. Yep.
And he's like wrong choice, and you have to go back to the beginning. I was like, oh,
What I like about that is, you know how, because the whole point of it is they keep saying you have a choice. Like, you know, the original point for me, at least, is how I
yeah.
took it.
Please, but this is what I battle
Okay.
with. I don't understand the point of this movie at all. So,
So
help
yeah.
me.
what I originally thought was, okay, the whole point of this is to remind us, the audience, that we have a choice in life.
Okay.
And we do. Whatever we do dictates our outcome in life, right?
Sure.
But kind of. And I think that was the point of it. It's like, and there's so many layers to it. Like, we're the audience controlling this kid. So he's like, I don't have a choice. For some reason, my hand's moving and I have to scratch my ear. And he's like feeling like he's crazy, but someone's forcing him to do it. I think there's a part of that in our life where, like, we all think we have a choice. But ultimately, like, if it's like going on a freeway, right? And you're going to this destination. There's a bunch of different exits. You can get off these exits. And those are the choices you make in that show. You do this or you don't do that. But the show made it very clear that no matter what you do, they're going to put you back on that path.
Yeah. Well,
Right? Because, like, if you don't stay at the office, or
Yeah.
I forget, it's either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
It eventually makes you do it.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Well,
you
and
think
then-
you do. So you keep thinking, this is fun. I have a choice. But you really don't.
Well, I think that's. I mean,
And I think that's really fucking brilliant.
I am religious, not to the point where I'm like, you know.
Yeah, I'm
over the top.
agnostic. I definitely there's something.
Well, I think
yeah.
that's the whole point, and we don't have to go down this route at all. But
No,
like,
absolutely.
But what
I
I'm
don't
trying to
give a
say,
We can
though,
do whatever
it's
the fuck
kinda-
we want.
Yeah,
no rules.
The
Yeah.
kind of the point. It's almost like, you know, you want people say that God or the universe like gave us like free will, right? We have this free will to do what we want,
Right?
But ultimately, in the Bible and stuff like that, it says that God knows the path that you already take. Like it says that when you die, the people like you see everyone that's already dead, like because time isn't real,
no, it's
right?
Not, yeah.
So it's like when you die, everyone that's ever lived or will die is dead already. Essentially.
Damn.
Right? So because the thing is though is that it's all predetermined. Like the universe or God or whatever you want to call it already knows the choices that you're going to make, but we essentially have the free will. Like I'm going to pick up this soda right now, but the universe or whatever.
But the only reason you picked up the soda was because you're thirsty. And the reason you're thirsty is because you're a human being.
Right.
And the reason you're a human being is because God made you.
Exactly.
And so at the end of the day, you don't have a choice.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
But then there's that whole crazy theory of like the multiverse. You know what I mean? The multiverse is like...
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it gets crazy. I mean, yeah.
It gets so crazy.
I think it's both. I think...
There's an alter reality where I didn't do that, where I'm not here, where you're not here, where, and there's... That's what I love about
infinite.
comics. I love comics so much about that. Like,
Apparently the universe is so big, there's infinite versions.
Totally.
That I don't know how I can't.
We can't
my
even
stupid mind
fathom that.
Well, this is a more like kind of
like
Buddhist,
literally I can't fathom that.
This is a more Buddhist twist on what you guys are saying.
Sure.
It's less like universal, but one of my favorite things I ever heard was, and there's different versions of it. It's like some people claim it's like a Chinese proverb. Some say that it's just like a ancient Greek thing. But the way that I heard it was that there was this Chinese farmer, and he had this horse, this wild horse that he loved, and it helped him kind of like tend to his land. And one day it runs away. And so later that night, the neighbors come over, and they're like, "What a tragedy. We heard that your horse ran away. Like, that's terrible." And he just said, "Perhaps. Like, you have no idea if it's good or bad."
Yeah.
And then the very next day, that same horse returns with 12 more horses.
Right.
And the neighbors come over and they go, "How amazing is that? Congratulations. Like, that's a great thing." And he goes, "Perhaps." And then the next day, his oldest son, is on one of the horses and falls and breaks his leg. And the neighbors are like, "What a tragedy." He said, Perhaps. Next day, the army's coming to him, the military, and they're looking for young, able-bodied men to fight in the war. But he's got a broken leg, so now he doesn't have to. So it just kind of keeps going that way, and it helps kind of illustrate the arrogance of human beings that we can be in control. Like, if I go get a sick job, make $1 billion, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
When really that doesn't guarantee happiness. That doesn't
walk out of the street, get hit by a car.
Right. Yeah. Or you get your first $1 million check, and then the next day your mom dies, and now you're going through this trauma of losing a loved one, but you've got all this money, but it means nothing to you because you're going through this traumatic thing. Yeah. So it's that's kind of another twist to it, that we all think we want control, but it's something that we don't ever have. And
for me personally, in my life, that's one of my biggest things to cope with in my life is like the feeling of not, having control of my own destiny.
Me too.
Or, it's very hard.
That's why I don't do drugs anymore.
Yeah.
I rarely drink.
Yeah.
If I do, I have like one.
Yeah. I'm back and forth with it, where it's like part of me is like,
I did all of that for so long.
Yeah.
Not having control is scary as shit, but and also a little bit like
it's also good for you.
It's kind of a motivation killer in a way. But then at the same time, it can be the most liberating thing that like
relieving.
That's why pot is so great.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't smoke anymore, but I think people should.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
At least
yeah.
every once in a while.
We all have a few people in our life that
it puts you.
If
in your
you put
place
some
too,
THC, some CBD in them, they would just be so much.
Well,
easier
you always
to
hear
deal
people
with.
say like, "Oh, people should smoke pot to just fucking relax." That's not why I think. I think people should smoke pot to fucking wind up and get a little paranoid and second guess and not think that you're perfect.
Just be more introspective.
Just be a little introspective. Fucking look in the mirror and get a little creeped out.
I think that's the world's problem in general. Nobody has any introspective of themselves at all. Like, we because think about this though, really. Like, this is such a weird thing. I've just thought about this recently. Like, we experience our entire existence, our, God willing, fucking 80, 90 year, 70 year life on this earth through our own two eyes.
It's a trip, dude.
Like, you don't even know what it's like to
It's the Lou filter. It's the James filter.
You can't even, like, the only sobering fact is, like, looking in a mirror and realizing that you exist.
I know.
Like, even if that's true. Like,
But then the comforting thing is, like, if you are not religious, spiritual, agnostic, whatever, I do believe that the universe does provide you everything you need right now.
Yeah.
And you may not feel that way. Everything that we need is here now. And I don't mean like in this room. I mean now in your life.
Sure. And I think people just close off to it a lot of times. So
Yeah.
you don't realize it. I mean, like for a long time, I was very close off to stuff. You know, I'm also a very worrisome, paranoid person. Very badly. I have a hypochondriac tattoo on my arm. I've always been that. I come from a very, very Italian family where like they worry more than anything.
Neurotic.
Neurotic to the core. You know, like that's just been instilled upon me my whole life. You know, and I have a really good friend named George who is like the polar opposite of me, where he's just like, why worry, man? There's nothing, you know, just everything's cool. Like if it's going to, and I wish so badly I had more of that in me, you know, just that ability to let go and
me too.
let God per se.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I tend to be more like you.
Yeah. It's just, I hate it. I mean, I even take that.
It's a control thing
now.
Yeah. And you should. I mean, that's what it's for.
Yeah. Like, you know,
but there's that old, there's a part in the show, The West Wing, which I'm a huge fan of, that kind of does this, but in their own version of it in the script. So it's the whole like old story of, I think it's in the Bible, I want to say, but the whole story of like, you know, a man is, you know, the town is flooding and this guy is stuck on his roof, right? And he's a religious guy, so he keeps praying to God. And he says, please save me, God. You know, I've been a good man. I'm making my own version. Okay. Praying, and then, you know, a guy comes by on a canoe, right? He's like, hey, bro, get in the boat. I'll rescue you. And he's like, it's all good. God's going to provide. Like, well, whatever. He fucking takes off, you know, and then like the fucking helicopter comes over, drops down the rope. Hey, man, climb up. You're good to go. It's like, no, I'm all good, man. God will provide.
Yep.
You know, and then that keeps going on. And the whole point of it is eventually he fucking dies. And he's asking God, like, why? I've been loyal to you for so long. I've been praying for you to help me, and you never did anything. It's like, motherfucker, I sent you a canoe, rowboat, and a fucking helicopter. Get on.
My pop-up told me that story, actually.
Yeah. There's a lot of versions of that, but it's super true.
Dude, it's definitely true. I mean, bottom line with the whole life thing is that none of us really know, and we won't fucking know until we're dead, and we're all just kind of skating by.
Do you ever think about that? Like my grandpa just recently passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's good. I mean, he had Parkinson's. It was a disaster at the end.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that. Like, I don't have any grandparents left; they're all gone, and I keep thinking like they're part of the club now.
Yeah.
You know, like they know something that we all don't know.
Yeah, totally.
They either know something or they know nothing. Like it just lights out.
Yeah.
Or they're part of this thing now that we've all been wondering.
Well, for me, one of my biggest fears in life is death. Just straight up. Because of a few things, though. It's like the two things that like your brain can't fathom are the words nothing, like nothingness, and eternity, right? So like you can't even begin to imagine like ceasing to exist because you can't, because you don't have a consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
To understand what that means to cease to exist, right? But you can't even understand that because you're not there. And then the other part is eternity, either heaven, hell, purgatory, whatever you want to believe is that is never ending. That's going to be on.
It's a control thing. It's because you want the control.
And I want to know.
You want to know.
Exactly. And that's, I think, one of the biggest fears to me because, like, you know, I just don't know. The uncertainty of what happens when you die.
For me, the only cure for that, because I struggle with that too, and I did a lot when I was young.
Yeah.
The only thing that ever helped me was just being in the moment. People say that a lot, but it's real. Like, be in this moment.
Yeah.
Not thinking about what you have to do in an hour, because time, like you said, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. The time to get here, the time after, that's now in that moment.
You ever think about how easily things can make people like just go fucking crazy?
Oh yeah.
Like, just if you really sat here down this rabbit hole of just like talking about this forever, you'd go crazy.
Well, we were,
like
a couple podcasts ago, we were kind of tripping out and like riffing on the idea that something like anything that you can think of is happening right now, or has happened before, or will happen. Like, we were fucking going crazy.
Anything.
Like some guy is jacking off with a banana in his ass while climbing a palm tree, and then he'll bungee jump. Like,
totally.
Like all of these scenarios will happen. It's just there's too many fucking people.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of closed doors, and people get real weird.
How do you guys feel about aliens?
I mean the same thing. It's like it's too big of a.
It feels illogical to denounce them,
Totally.
their existence in any way, just because of the whole infinity thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm a true believer,
Absolutely.
like, through and through with that whole thing, And I think one of my biggest regrets is I love like science and I love like all that kind of shit.
Space.
Right? Yeah. And one of my biggest regrets is that I won't live long enough to. One, I really want to see Mars terraformed.
Dude, you got to watch this fucking TED Talks thing. It just came out. This guy lays it out in the most like basic way to basically say that we will in our lifetime see people on Mars.
Oh man,
it's a fucking
so cool.
dopest shit, and it's like way sooner than you think. I don't remember the year. It was in like a 15-year window or something.
There's this one website that I found a long time ago. I don't remember, but it's like called like Future Timeline, and it like lays out what you think. Maybe we can look it up later. It lays out like what's going to happen until the end of our galaxy.
Oh wow! Someone just sort of like
it's great. It's like insane.
Dude, that stuff trips me out. Like
that sounds anxiety inducing, dude.
Well, no, it's yes and no. Like there's a point where like we're like 100,000 years in the future, and it's like everyone's a cyborg.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, but then another really cool thing is
if we're even here, then
I know, right? One of my favorite things, one of my favorite people to listen to is the physicist Michio Kaku.
Okay.
Have you heard of him before?
No.
The Japanese man,
Japanese guy.
White hair.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Incredible. And he has this whole thing on type 1, type 0, type 2.
Crazy. Yeah, this guy's fucking dope.
Just way out
Gotta
there.
check him out, man. And the best thing about him is he lays it out in such a layman
really
terms.
relatable, yeah.
Yeah, just normal.
He's funny as shit, too.
Yeah. One of the best things that he was talking about that I found interesting was like the whole like type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3 civilizations, right? And currently right now we are in a type 0 civilization where
still
we're on the verge of becoming into a type 1 civilization. Like within the next he said 100 to 200 years will.
What does that mean? Like,
so I'll tell you. So type 1 is like we only access our own planet and our own, like we haven't gone out past that or anything like that. But when you get to type 1, you'll be able to harness complete control over your planet's energy. Like we'll be able to change the weather system, weather patterns. We'll be able to access complete control of Earth. That's a type 1 civilization. But type 2 is almost like more like Star Trek-y. And then type 3 is like Star Wars, where it's like on a galactical, like different galaxy. And he thinks that there's civilizations out there that access those things. But the difference between jumping from type 0 to type 1 is it's happening right now as we speak. Like, for instance, a type 1 form of communication to make everybody globally connect is email, right? Everyone can connect to anyone they want across the world on email.
Yeah.
Right? Pop music is globally connecting people as a form of music. Everyone's heard a Justin Bieber song. Everyone's heard that, right? But then there's things that directly,
which not to interrupt you, but that's a new thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not that long ago. People in South Africa didn't know who Bing Crosby was, or Louis Armstrong or something.
And now it's like becoming the age of information is connecting everyone so that it's in 10, 20 years that'll just be the norm everywhere.
Yeah.
For the most part at least, right? And then there's other things that are direct conflicts. This is what he says in the speech. I'll sing as a link for it. He says terrorism is a direct thing going against turning into a type 1 civilization, because terrorism wants to divide people. They want people to be separated by religion, by race, by all that kind of thing. They're taking us
back to the Stone Age.
Exactly. And that's essentially what they're doing. And he says within the next 100 to 200 years, we will find out if our planet makes it to the type 1 civilization.
Whoa, that's really cool.
If not, we will be destroyed.
That's so cool.
We'll just cease to exist. So that shit's really fucking cool, because I want to go fucking see aliens on other planets, and I want that. It's kind of crazy that hasn't happened yet.
Dude, what if like when you die, you essentially just get like skybox seats for life? You get to like watch the rest of it from like the comfort of like your clouds or whatever.
Well, that's such a trip. You were talking about like someone could figure out the timeline from now to the end of time or whatever.
Yeah, just
like
guessed it, I guess. But
I mean that's such a trip to try to wrap your head around, because like, my grandpa just passed and he was 87.
Yeah.
And the amount of shit this one human being saw is remarkable.
Yeah, totally.
And the amount of stuff he did. He was a father of 4. He was an entrepreneur. He was CEO, made money, lost money, went to war.
God bless him.
Army vet, got in a car. You know what I mean? Like the amount of shit, and he saw like basic fucking technology grow into the internet and Twitter, and
dude, literally think about.
He had a Facebook account.
Think about like just the last 30 years of technology, right?
Oh my
just
God,
insane.
dude. Insane.
Like,
do you know when the first iPhone came out? Does anyone know?
I think it was
You know,
2001.
No, way later than that, bro.
What was it? 2007.
Yes, I think it's 2007.
2007. I think it is 2000. Double check on that. I'm pretty sure it's 2007.
That sounds right to me.
But that's crazy because like so I'm 29, right? And people in my generation, I don't know how
2007.
old. Yeah, it's 2007.
You're right. January 9th, 2007. Very beginning.
How old are both of you?
I'm 35.
32.
32. Okay, so we're similar in that.
Yeah.
But our generation, and maybe more closer to mine, is the last generation. Sorry, the last generation to remember a time before the internet and technology,
right?
And
yes.
the time after it.
I talk about it all the time.
Right?
Yep.
Like kids in like literally, I want to say like.
Well, do the math. If that's 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
So
anyone that is under, what does that mean? Anyone that is like 11 and under doesn't, like they were born in time without an iPhone.
Yeah.
Or they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you
they
know
didn't have,
yeah.
They only had.
They only had. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
But that's crazy. Or even like just the internet. I remember when the internet first happened.
Dude, I got 6 years on you. I really remember.
Yeah, totally.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
All me and our Crummett and Seb, all these producer dudes, you know, they were recording bands in Hillsboro off 4-track recorders, my friend.
Right.
Because there was no other option.
Well, Howard Benson was just telling me about, because we just did
How old is Howard?
I don't know. He's probably in his like 60s.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Been around.
Yeah, forever. I mean, he's done everyone and their mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but he was telling me about when he was recording. Who was it? I want to say it was Real Big Fish.
Okay.
In Florida. No, was it Less Than Jake?
Was that
one of those bands?
90s.
Like you know, ska punk band, right? And Anatares just made autotune. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but like they just made autotune and they sent it to him and they're like, we want you to try this out. And he's like, what the hell is this? Autotune? Like, what is this?
Right.
And it like changed his fucking life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you seen the video of Dave Grohl talking about Nirvana using Pro Tools for the first time?
Is that in the documentary?
Yeah, it's one of the. Yeah, it's so goddamn funny,
dude.
Because they're like it would take like, they used to call it slow tools.
Yeah,
because it just slowed everything down.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
You know, it was like 6 hours of rendering or something, or more, like a 24-hour render or something.
Even till this day, Pro Tools still crashes a million times on every producer's computer.
Well, it's the whole like that's why whether you like his music or not, I respect Jack White because he always talks about this sort of thing where his whole point in music and art is to remove a lot of those options for you. You know, so that's why a lot of his music is so basic.
Yeah.
And even like on the live stage, he'll do the craziest shit, like OCD weird fucking shit. You know, most people will have guitar picks like up and down the mic stand, so they drop a pick, then get to one quick.
Yeah,
he'll purposely put his pick over there, on the corner of the stage, like 20 feet away.
Wow!
So if he drops a pick, something chaotic happens, and he has to run and go get it, and it creates a moment. And so there's like 100 different versions of that just for his live show.
Jeez.
He'll purposely have guitars that go out of tune. He purposely makes it hard on them.
It's something to be said about...
he's a multi-millionaire. He could have anything he wants.
Yeah. It's something to be said about... I do feel like today, especially being a musician, the world is so focused on being perfect.
Yeah.
In every sense of
the
it.
Pro Tools generation, man. It's a shame.
In every sense of the word, not even just in music, just in everything.
Everything.
Perfect, right? That almost people forget that like the human aspect of you is what makes us all so unique.
It's a bummer. Everyone can edit and like really choose what they want to say on social media and the perfect fucking picture, and it's not real.
Yeah, nothing's real.
It's not real. It's fucked.
You know, This it's a crazy world.
Listen to like old records. I mean, like old Zeppelin records. John Bonham is one of my top 5 favorite drummers of all time. But that song Black Dog.
Yeah.
If you listen to it, it's so off. Jimmy Page's because they weren't playing to a click.
Yep.
They're playing live to fucking tape.
Yeah.
That was then some guy spliced it and edited it.
You know what's crazy?
Like
I
crazy,
heard,
but it's so good.
I heard the actual tracks of Bohemian Rhapsody, track by track,
Oh yeah.
soloed.
Is that on YouTube? Did Brian May do one of those?
No.
Because I've seen
So,
one where he does something similar.
Someone, I can't say, I'll be murdered if I say,
Oh, so like
yeah,
real shit.
yeah, like the
Oh,
actual
wow.
session.
Whoa.
And it was the most insane thing I've ever heard in my
Because
life.
you're reminded that these fucking people back then were like
Just had to be perfect.
real musicians.
You know, and
Yeah.
not only that, but I heard the Beatles too.
Crazy.
Damn.
Like just hearing.
Well, you know, I mean, think of all the fucking dickhead fucking bands out there who just get by
Yeah.
because of technology.
Yeah. Well, I think
I don't know. I guess there's an argument for it.
there-
Like,
there's-
good for them, but
there's a side to both. I think, right? Because if you're not with the future, you get caught in the past.
Yep.
You get lost in the past. But
Yep.
at the same time, if you lose the aspect that makes the past real and genuine, like one of the best things that Howard Benson told us in the studio this last time when recording this new album is like, we're not selling music, we're selling emotion. And if you can't connect to people, then no one's going to give a shit about you.
totally agree.
You know, and
That's what a good producer should do.
yeah, and
And
I
he
really,
knows.
really thought about that. And you know, the time in the studio, this past time in the studio was one of the most grueling.
Did you guys go to Florida?
No, so Howard Benson lives in Calabasas in California.
Oh, of course he does.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
He beautiful house.
Does Howard? I hate to ask, but does he have cancer?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No.
For some reason, I thought
Now I want to know
Man,
who you're
think of
thinking of.
Yeah, I
else.
want to know who you're thinking of.
there's a similar age producer.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of
There's like a
Dennis?
GoFundMe right now.
Oh shit, I don't
the
know.
fuck's
God bless
his
him. Though.
name?
I wish the best for him.
Big guy. Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Oh shit.
We get podcast brain. We always talk about the podcast fog. You
Yeah,
get.
yeah. I
As soon
mean-
as you hit record, you just become a fucking moron.
Yeah, I forget everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that was. I mean, Howard Benson did so. I mean, he did My Chemical Romance. He did POD.
Shit,
he
man.
did like literally. If you just look at his thing, it's just like
Hit.
right. And we walk in the studio. On the wall, it's just like
Right.
gold, platinum albums
Fuck.
everywhere.
Just swinging that big dick around.
Yeah, man, and it's like intimidating at first because you want to be one of them. You want to be, and then obviously music was in a different place back then.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You know, records sold way more. you
Oh
know.
yeah.
But the crazy thing is that like he told us he sat down like when he was recording Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge with My Chem with Gerard. Gerard was young and went in there and he was like, what do you want to write? Because their old music was kind of more sporadic and like weird. He's like, do you want to write hits or do you want to write just like songs? He's like, I want to write hits.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
And then they
let's-
did.
And he's like, you got to sell emotion. You got to make people believe.
He's a big comic book guy.
Yo, yeah.
I met him here and got to know him a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, he
That's so rad.
yeah, dude, he is incredibly talented.
Dude, but off air, I want to talk to you about the rate and stuff with Doug. We can edit this out because
With the what?
with Howard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to know because I don't know if you know, but Stateside, it's also the name of a company I run where I represent music producers
Sure.
and mix engineers and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So I'm usually the guy to negotiate
Oh.
the rate between you, the band, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk about that.
does he have a manager? I'm sure he does.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
I forget his name off the top of my head. I usually let just our manager just deal with all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
About that. I think,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay.
I should just yell the number right now. Just blow this shit up.
Yeah.
I'm keeping part of that in. That was actually funny.
Yeah, right. Some secrets, business stuff. But,
yeah. I mean, it's not for
Yeah,
everyone to hear, but
it was a very dude. That recording experience was
that's so cool,
telling you,
man.
it was really hard.
Yeah.
One day we were the best band in the world that he's ever heard, and the next day we were the worst band in the world he's ever heard.
But ultimately, are you happy with that
Oh,
experience?
Yeah, I mean,
Because it's like going to war, you know?
Yeah,
You have a real story now to tell.
Yeah, totally. And I think the best part for us was that like we were like, there's no co-writes on this album, just us. Only the 5 of us.
Fuck yeah.
No one touched it except for us, you know? And the cool thing...
Does he co-write ever? Or is he just
no,
old school
No,
producer?
he actually literally told us, like, he's like... Because all our last albums, like, our producers would, like, co-write with us a little bit, you know what I mean? Like,
it's like Feldman.
It's like a normal thing. Like,
I don't even think he produces bands unless he co-writes with
Yeah,
them.
well, that's Feldman's thing. Like, we recorded with Eric Ron, Brandon Paddock in the past, and, you know, and we love those producers as well, but it was a different vibe. Like, what we were used to doing was going into the studio, showing the demos, and then reworking them with the producer to make the best thing. But this is not what happened.
He's like, come ready.
Well, yeah, we went in the studio with like 20 songs, right? And so he has his studio in Calabasas, and then he has his house in Calabasas, where the studio is where we do all the music, and his house is where me and our bass player Brandon did all the vocals. So we're separate.
Oh, cool.
And when we got in there, we had like 20 songs, and he listened to them all. He goes, all right, these 10 or so are great.
Yeah.
The rest of them are meh. If you want to fix them up, go for it. We start recording drums tomorrow. And we're just like,
shit.
Oh,
you make it happen.
You wanted to like, do we fix anything? He's like, if I tell you they need to be fixed, you fix them yourself and fix them. And we're like, okay. Like Howard wouldn't be like, he wouldn't really like sit with us and be like, maybe you should sing this or that or like whatever. He'd just be like, that's not good. Make it better. Or he'd be like, maybe try something esque of this, or like, you know, he's an incredible piano player, so he like would just go up and down in the scales. But every idea was just us, and he wanted it to be us. He's like, "This is your band. I'm not in your band. Like, you have great songs, and I'm here to make them even better." You know, so that was the first time we ever did that. It was really challenging at first because, you know, you got to figure out how to be the best writer you can be.
Yeah,
and we were only there for a month and a half.
Yeah, when did you guys do this?
June, and then we left.
June.
July.
So were there any fire threats down there?
No.
Not yet,
It was not yet. Issues actually was recording there afterwards, and that was when the fire stuff happened. They actually had to evacuate
because it got close to Calabasas. I want to say.
Oh no, he was evacuated. The whole house almost went on fire.
Jesus. The bummer about living down there, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's
very real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, it doesn't matter where.
No.
Everyone has this theory like, well, if you live in fucking Silver Lake, then it's better. But if you no, if you're in Los Angeles County, fuck that. Yeah, if you're in Southern California,
you're just
if you're in California, fires.
Yeah, because
you could be in Santa Barbara. You could be like, doesn't matter.
Just don't get it. Just
fucked. It's just like the perfect environment for it. It gets windy every year.
Dry.
Yep. And dry as fuck.
I think I've been to California. Like, we've been there hundreds of times over the years, right? I think it's literally rained one time. Yeah. Once. Yeah. And like one day for like 2 hours, and that was it.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we came in hot. We were talking about aliens.
We did, yeah. I was gonna say, like, because
this is great.
We touched on the record a bit, but tell everybody, like, you know, just the name of it when it came out. Like, give them the stats.
Yeah, sorry.
Now let's do the work.
Yeah.
No, me too.
No, because what we were doing is more interesting, but just for like clarity's sake.
Yeah. So
the audience will love it. This is good.
Yeah.
So really
Palisades is our band, and
We Are Palisades on Instagram?
Yes, on every social media we are Palisades. At We Are Palisades, wearepalisades.com. So what and so forth, all that. The new album's called Erase the Pain. Came out on the 28th of December. So happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Hell yeah.
All that.
Yep.
How many songs?
10 songs. Keeping it solid, but we're actually working on doing some reimagined stuff too as well. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some, taking the album and reimagining the songs. Not totally sure what we're doing that yet, but we're working on them right now. That's something about us. We like never stop working, even when we're done.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got, because I know
it's a good place to be.
After you guys released the self-titled, it wasn't too long after that Matthew was telling me you guys were working on more stuff, which I was pumped for because I love the self-titled.
Thank you, man.
I remember getting that before I even started on the artwork for you guys. Matthew had given me all the MP3s, and I was like, this is the shit. When can I start this artwork? And there was a little bit of a hold, and then, you know, obviously eventually dove in.
I have to give you a very, 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 very big personal thank you for the artwork of that.
Yeah, that was an interesting little...
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah.
It almost was something completely different.
It was.
I just want to say Thank you.
Yeah, no
You
problem, man.
killed it.
I had a blast with that.
You took the idea of what we wanted and just killed it. Like you
Yeah.
made it that, which was really, really great.
Yeah, that's definitely the most challenging part of my job is dancing that line between, because sometimes a band will be like, bro, whatever you want to do, and I'll do whatever I want, and they like it, cool. But then the other end of that sometimes will be, hey, we want this idea, and it's a badass idea, and it's going to work perfectly on in a graphic way. So then I execute it, they're happy with it, I'm happy with it, cool. That's very rare. The more common one is similar to what happened with you guys, where it's like, we got these photos, we kind of have an idea, but just logistically, when the rubber meets the road, we don't know how it's going to turn out, and do your best and show it to us. So I did. And then I think all of us, you guys, including, and me, I'm just like, something's just not working. Like the lighting is a little off, or like for those that are obviously out of the loop, the artwork was initially going to be, you guys had done a photo shoot.
Yeah.
You guys had like a model, and then it was,
Hands
and you guys were some of the arms, right?
Yeah, we did it ourselves. Like we had all these like blacked out, like demon looking arms, like kind of like going at her.
Yeah.
She was like looking up kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I remember like the logo was just like a normal like Baybest font,
Mm-hmm.
Palisades in yellow.
Right.
And it was just like the idea was there. And when you saw it, I'm just so glad that you like saw the vision through it. Like,
yeah.
I literally, when I got that, I was like, oh my God, thank you.
He's like,
Yeah.
Alan, you're like the producer of design.
yeah.
That's
like
sort of
you
how
give
I
him
feel.
some
Yeah.
ideas, and he'll just produce you.
But that's
and
incredible.
make it better.
Like, you know what I mean? And
I do see that similarity where you will. I was just actually literally part of the reason I was late to the podcast studio today was right before I left. Tyler Carter needed some stuff for his single that's coming out soon, and his idea we didn't have a lot of time. It needed to be submitted today, and he had this idea that was going to take a little more time than what I had available. But I still wanted to like hit as close to what he wanted as possible, but do it. So I almost similar to what James is saying, I had to be the producer and like strip it down and kind of navigate it to where like, this is what you want.
Totally.
Here's kind of a happy medium.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's all about making sure the artist is happy and that I'm happy,
Absolutely.
the management's happy. Like it's a tough gig, but if you
make
can,
so many people happy, you know
it's
what I mean?
tough. Yeah.
And I'm also a graphic designer as well, so I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
In every aspect of that word.
Where do I find you on Instagram here, Lou?
Myself?
Yeah.
It's just at Lou Miceli Jr.
L-U?
L-O-U
L-O-U?
M-I-C
M-I-C?
E-L-I
E-L-Y.
E-L-I.
Oh, I got Junior.
Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But dude, yeah, I mean, and that's, you know what the problem was last time? And this is on our fault. Like, we were kind of really inexperienced with this. Like, our manager now, like, you know, he's such a great manager. His name's Brian Schechter. He literally just instills upon us that, like, you need to be prepared for everything. Like,
Yeah.
you need to
Manager.
so this time with the artwork, what we did was we had like a bunch of different ideas. We wanted to name the album something different originally, but we made a 80-page mood board. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Dude, it was a grueling process.
Yeah,
to
that's
make.
massive.
But it was like we wanted it to be perfect, and we originally had 20, and then Brian was like, "Nope, not enough."
Is he a solo guy, or is he part of a company?
He has a company called Riot Squad Management.
Cool.
Yeah, he actually was.
How many? He's got like a handful of bands, right?
Right now we're the priority. He actually used to manage My Chemical Romance.
Why do I know that name? What's his name?
Brian Schechter.
Yeah.
He was off the scene for a little bit for a while, but now he's back in full
I mean, I'm
force.
sure that's why, because of My Chemical.
Yeah,
They were kind of a big band.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Kind of a big
but
band.
So we made this mood board, right? And at first, like, we didn't really know what we wanted to do with it. Like, I had a long time ago, before this album was even written, I found this picture of this snake, right? And I loved it. And I made it like this, like, I put like this like mask on it that made it like purple orange hue across the whole thing. It was like the skeleton snake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And forever, like, that was like the idea that we wanted for it, right? And then and everybody loved it. Like, everybody was like, "This is sick. This is sick. This is sick." As we went to record the album, originally I wanted to name the album "Shed My Skin."
Oh, okay.
Because that's what I really wanted. That because, you know, skeleton and all that stuff, and I felt like it was accomplishing. But as the album became this living, breathing thing, the title of it didn't really make as much sense as what we wanted to do, and we felt more connected with one of the other songs, Erase the Pain. And it actually became like this, I'm saying this because it ties into the artwork. So it became this like concept in a way, but unintentionally. Like we noticed that all the songs that we were writing were really painful songs. Like they were songs about, suicide and depression and like all the stuff that we were going through. Like, our song Fade, we wrote about a super close friend of ours that wanted to kill himself. And, I wrote it from his perspective of speaking about how he probably felt, like, me giving him advice, like, come on, man, like, if someone wants to live for, and him just, like, not getting it, or, him just being so deep that he couldn't even understand it. And those lyrics were prominent through the whole album, just like this painful experiences that we all go through. Like, there's stuff about, like, not feeling like you're good enough, or not feeling like you fit in, or these a lot of that darkness on this album is really dark. And the last song on the album was Shed My Skin, and Shed My Skin was the song that kind of, I wanted it to be last because it was the song that said, like, no matter how much you go through, you can always start again. And as we started talking about the artwork for the album, we came across this picture of the Ouroboros, right?
Right.
And the Ouroboros, if you don't know what it is, it's a snake eating itself in a circle, right? And that symbolizes infinity,
so
and
dope,
never ending, right? Yeah. And immediately, like, we were like, oh my God, this is it, right? And I thought that was so cool because this whole album's talking about pain, wanting to get rid of this pain, and that's why we chose to name it Erase the Pain. And the artwork that we sent over this mood board, we wanted it to reflect that, like the Ouroboros, everyone's going to have pain in life. You're always going to go through this cycle, and it's never going to end. Unfortunately, bad things will always happen, okay? But just because those bad things happen to you doesn't mean that you're like a prisoner to your past. You can, like a snake, shed your skin and start again this new life. And that's
there's that whole thing that maybe it's a Buddhist thing, but that suffering is an option. I know that's really hard to hear when you're the one dying of cancer, and it's like, yeah, that's really easy for you to say, bro. But
yeah, of course.
Right. Yeah, there's levels to it, like everything, though.
I think, me and you talked about that once.
Yeah, it was like tragedy is not an option, but suffering is, something like that.
It's all about how you take the pain and deal
technically
with it.
that is true.
Yeah.
I mean,
technically,
it's super hard. It's
you got to master your mind in order to make that be the case in your life, and that is the very difficult part. But
especially for someone like me who's like paranoid about everything,
right?
So
let me ask you. So with an album that actually covers some intense stuff, and dark things, what do you guys want as a band? Like, what do you want your audience to experience? Like, some band, Real Big Fish, right?
Sure.
Because you brought them up. That's like a feel-goody ska band, right?
Totally.
Some bands just want to have a loosey-goose time and party. What do you guys want people to do? Do you want them to experience that with you, or do you want people to show up and drink and have fun? Or like, I
think our band has gone through, we get this question a lot when we get interviewed, and our band, I put, Palisades is like a person, right? So when we were in our like elementary school days or middle school days, we wrote our EP. Really safe, didn't really know what we were doing.
Right.
5 songs, kind of just getting into like the scene.
Just trying.
Right. Excuse me.
Just making noise.
Right now.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, just making noise. And we recorded Outkast. Outkast was like, kind of like getting into being a teenager. You're not really sure. You're
a little angsty.
Honing it in. Yeah, a little angsty, right? And just trying to figure out that state in the scene. And then Mind Games, which is like this electronic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one I heard.
That's like our like late teens party album. Like that was like when you're in college or right out of high school and you just want to party, and that was like what that album represented. And then after you get out of that age, you become like 23, 24, you mature and life means more to you, and like things matter more. Your family matters more. Your relationships matter more. Your job matters.
You've had more tragedy.
Exactly. You go through so many more adult things that maybe you're not really capable of handling at the moment because you just got thrown into this world, and that's what the self-title represented for us. And now with this album, it's kind of growing from that, and it's kind of just, this is more of like the therapy of dealing with all those things that have happened to you in your life. So the one thing that I want from our fan base and our fans or anyone listening to us is just to feel like they're connected to it. Like my favorite bands growing up were not bands that made me feel good. They're bands that made me feel
challenged you.
Yeah, and they made me feel like, oh shit, if this famous guy in a band is going through the same thing I'm going through.
Like, who are some of those bands?
Like Taking Back Sunday was a huge one for me. Relient K, Starting Line. I was a big Drive Thru Records fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all of those kind of bands growing up.
Cool.
Early November.
Yeah.
Saves the Day. All those kind of bands like Death Cab. The really sad shit is what made
they're like the beginning of emo.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Like real emo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not the genre emo, but I mean emotional music.
Yeah, totally. And that's what
like Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah, Jimmy Eat World is
Taking Back Sunday. Yeah.
Dude,
early Jimmy Eat World's like some of the cool shit ever, dude.
When I was in high school, and dude, I was like bullied really
poignant
bad.
fucking shit, man.
Dude, the middle,
I know.
That song made me feel like,
me too.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck
like
yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I want kids to realize. And
I love your example that your band is like a person.
Yeah.
Meaning like it's dynamic.
Thank you, man.
You're everything.
Yeah.
It's like I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm hopeful, I'm regretful.
And there's different stages. Like, dude, none of us are the same person we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
But why would people expect bands to be any different? Isn't it fucking like it always bums me out. Even people that I respect a lot and like close friends of mine, they're also music people. They still get in the trap of like, I don't know, like I just wish Deftones would just do fucking Round the Fur, forever.
Oh,
like,
I hate
why
that
would
shit.
you expect someone who is in their 40s to do the music they did when they were 16? Are you fucking insane?
Dude, are you still wearing like girl pants from American Eagle?
Like what?
No, we've evolved. We have skinny jeans in the guys section now.
Now, it's fair to not like the new Deftones, or it's fair to not like the new whatever.
Yeah.
Tool, like that's an example of a band that like challenges you, right?
I don't know if you heard the new Bring Me song that came out like yesterday. We were talking about this a little bit.
Who?
Bring Me the Horizon.
No,
They just put out they put out 3 new songs for the new album. And the first one was like kind of like That's the Spirit last album, which was fine. Which is, I mean, I'm a huge Bring Me fan, so I think they're one of the bands.
Good example of a band that has grown a lot too.
I think they're, in my opinion, one of the best bands doing it right.
They're so fucking big.
Yeah, and then they have that song "Wonderful Life,"
Mm-hmm.
and that was a little bit. That was actually going to be like a Limp Bizkit song,
right?
That they wrote for Fred Durst and never showed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jordan and Ollie were supposed to produce the next Limp record.
Oh shit!
I mean that may still be happening, but yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's insane.
But then this new one just came out yesterday, Medicine. It's a straight pop song. It's a pop song. And a lot of people were like, not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but like I saw comments where people were like, if 2006 Bring Me the Horizon could see this now, what would they think? And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like,
well, people think that bands belong to them.
oh, dude, totally.
Yeah.
Art doesn't belong to you.
I can't.
It's not yours.
I can't imagine being, 15, 16, commenting on Taking Back Sunday's page, being like, dude, fuck you guys, you sold out. Like, I would have never have done that.
Well, I mean, people need to start viewing. I think the healthiest way to view bands is a lot like people. Enjoy the moments you have with them.
Yes.
Just like a relationship.
Yes.
Like if you're in love with somebody, everything's cool. 5 years in, you guys break up, you get divorced, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You still have those moments, but you can't sit there and be like, hey, things are good right now. Stay this way forever.
That's right. This band gave you everything that they could give you.
Yep.
And
maybe it's over.
And that's super unfair of people to judge a band that way, or music and anything like that. Like, it's like, that band gave you something. The band gave you a moment that defined your teenage years, your 15, 16, 17, 18 like, for me, Taking Back Sunday defined me when I was 16. That's my 16-year-old, 17-year-old memory of my life.
Yeah,
because that was my first Warped Tour I went to.
Right.
I worked at a pizzeria in Florida forever that was like family owned, and there was a woman there, and her son.
You're an East Coast guy, like all through and through, right?
All through and through, yeah. From New York to Jersey to Florida, I was
nice.
All that, and I worked with a woman named Freddie, and her son was actually the tour manager of Taking Back Sunday.
Oh wow!
Romance,
how cool!
Circus 5 and all these other bands.
What a cool thing for you to
Midtown.
Yeah.
And I was just starting a little local band at the time.
That was like the coolest thing in the world to you.
Dude,
yeah.
He came to our practice and like listened to us play, and it was so shitty. Like, it was the worst thing ever.
Was he at least nice and cool?
Yeah, dude. He brought me to my first Warped Tour.
Wow.
And he brought me on.
You know, this year was the last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you know.
We played in 15. But they're bringing it back though as like festivals though.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. So
God, I hope that's good. God
Yeah.
damn it, please be good.
I think they said it's going to be like East Coast, West Coast, and then Cleveland.
Yeah.
So
And then it'll be a week run, and then it's just going to be a tour again.
maybe.
Right. Yeah.
God bless Kevin Lyman though. Man, does hard work.
Oh fuck yeah.
But he brought me to this is actually a pretty crazy story, full circle. So he brought me to my first Warped Tour. Was on Jim McSunday's bus on stage with him while they played. Was on cloud 9. 16-year-old me wearing a Volcom Stone shirt, fucking baggy pants, like. Didn't know what I was doing yet, but from that moment when I was on stage watching Take My Sunday, I was like, "This is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do."
It's real, man.
And then flash forward, 2015 Warped Tour, we're finally playing, and we're on one of the bigger stages, and I'm walking around the back, and who do I see walking around in San Diego? Jeff, the same guy that brought me to my first Warped Tour.
Oh no shit.
He was like, "Dude, Lou,"
like
and I'm like,
opposite
Jeff?
corners of the country,
dude. And well, he lived there. He lives there now. And his mom still lived. He was from Jersey originally,
right?
And his mom moved to Florida. The whole thing. Anyway, I ran into him. And he's like, "Dude, Lou," and I'm like, "Jeff." He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm playing." And he goes, "No shit." Full fucking circle. Huh?
Full fucking
Yeah, that's
circle.
crazy.
It's the best thing ever.
And that was like one of the moments that I was.
Kids all grown up.
Yeah, it was cool, man. And now, we're
fucking
doing
dope.
like, festivals with like Deftones and like. We're doing Carolina Rebellion, Welcome to Rockville. We did Download Fest, Reading in Leeds, and
Are you happy with how things are going?
absolutely, man. Our band was
Like, what do you want? I mean, not to interrupt you. What do you want for the? I mean, what do you guys want? Like, do you want to keep getting as big as you can? Do you want the My Chemical Romance?
yeah. I mean, I think that's
Huge stadium tours,
I
and
think that's what every band, unless you're like
you'd be
a super-
surprised how many people don't answer
I
that
guess-
question.
I guess you know what? That's true though, because Howard asked
I
me
think everyone actually wants that, but people will lie and be like, "Well, we're just fucking cool with what we got," and like,
nah, fuck that.
no,
I
I
want
want to play in front of as many people as
It's
possible.
not even about that for me. It's like, I want to connect with as many
Yeah, I want to
people as
reach.
possible.
That's
want-
why you got into it, right?
I want to do what Chester Bennington did for me.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, I want to heal.
What did he do for you?
Dude, he fucking saved our band's lives. Like, and I know that's such a corny thing to say because, like, you ultimately saved your own life and stuff. But, like, I mentioned the emo bands I listened to, of course,
Yeah.
because that's what started me out. But, like, Linkin Park, man, I dare you to try to find someone in music right now that doesn't, count them as their influence in some way.
Oh,
shape, or
dude.
form.
We used to have a guy that helped us with the show. He's one of my best friends, the podcast. And we had like a real-time moment on the show where we both straight up admitted that we actually really liked that band, but we'd always pretend that we didn't around other people, like fucking rapcore, like because I'm a little bit older than you,
Sure.
so growing up that was like for a while Lincoln, they were like kind of a band you'd make fun of and like you'd
Right.
put it in the category of like Limp Bizkit and Shitty Corn and
Isn't that weird though?
but then like enough time goes by and you're like, wait, no, they're like an actual rock band.
dude,
And
they were like,
I don't like everything they did, but like they're real. It's real.
Dude.
It's fucking real shit.
well, I remember I had that moment.
Super
too,
successful too.
when Green Day and because Blink-182 was the first album I ever got. Like,
Yeah, okay.
right?
What album?
It was Dude Ranch, I think, or it was
Dookie?
Enema of the State. I don't remember. Excuse me. And I remember like that was my like that Good Charlotte, Sum 41,
Yeah.
Green Day, all that was like my first thing. But then I got into like emo.
Then you got
and,
into
and
emo.
then Blink-182 like wasn't cool anymore because if you weren't listening to like brand new Take Back Sunday or Dashboard or something like that, like or The Used or something like dark and emo.
You were just a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
But for me, like Linkin Park, dude, think about this though. They did it. They made the
Oh my
pop
God.
world, the
I
hip
know.
hop world, the rock world.
That's it, dude.
They did it.
If you so we had a guy on the show named Finn McKenty.
Okay.
If you don't know who Finn is, check him out. He does a YouTube show called the Punk Rock MBA.
Okay.
And he basically, his whole thing is like an analysis on music and bands and how that correlates with entrepreneurship and like actually being a businessman and taking it seriously. And anyway, what I was going to say is like, you have to give props to Linkin Park
Dude,
for that.
absolutely.
That part alone, whether you like their music or not, is irrelevant.
Dude,
What they did like business wise and the reach, and that they fucking collabed with J fucking Z.
And that album
like,
is one of the coolest albums ever.
Yeah.
Because it was so pure, and it was just like...
It's all like the same dudes, too. I don't think they even had any lineup changes.
The only lineup change
super
that ever
loyal.
happened was before Chester, but they weren't even the same band.
But it didn't matter. Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like that, they had the same memory.
So rad.
And the craziest thing is that, like, dude, like, you never realize until he's gone or they're gone. This dude was battling some real fucking demons,
Real shit.
man.
Yeah.
Like,
you go through a lot of those interviews, and you're like, oh, there it is.
And not only that,
Oh,
like,
there it
the
was.
lyrics, dude, like the
Yeah.
lyrics he was talking
I
about.
know. Dark.
Yeah, man,
I
and
know.
it kills you. And so, like, for me, I just want to help people. I want, and we have so many times people come to our shows and be like, like, your song saved me, or like, we had this one kid saying like I was gonna kill myself.
That's
and then your
super
song-
fucking powerful, man.
Yeah, and I want, if anyone's listening to this, our fans, like you're the reason why you stayed here. But I'm glad that I could help you. You know, we're glad that we could help you. And like that song "Fade" that I told you that we wrote about a friend that wanted to kill himself. That song has been one of the most well-received songs on the album because people, not even fans, but friends of mine have been like, yo, dude, like, I like cried listening to the song because I felt like that before. I felt like I just want to throw it all away. And I actually just saw my friend that I wrote the song about at New Year's recently, and he was like, I pulled him aside, I'm like, dude, I want to, because he's doing so well right now.
Did he know it was about him?
Yeah, he does. And we had an emotional moment where I told him that previously, but I want to tell him, I was like, dude, your song, the song that we wrote, like, you're connecting with people. So, like, as alone as you ever thought you were, all you have to do is go online to see that you're not.
Whoa.
And he just, like, started.
That's crazy,
I mean, we were
man.
real drunk, but, we were crying and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like, that's what I want, man, because, dude, you only have one life. And don't get me wrong, I love party music. I love Migos.
Sure.
Like, I love Drake. Like, I'm down to have a good time. And I love that kind of music. I love pop music.
But look, man, again, back to, like, the thing we're talking with Black Mirror. We all have these choices and things we do.
Totally.
But I think just by meeting you in the past hour, the true you and the whole purpose of what you're doing is what you're doing. Like, the whole purpose of what you should be doing is what you are doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, like, party music and all that other stuff, it's great, but that's for someone else's destiny.
Sure.
I think that's someone else's path.
Totally. And not to discredit that, because I think that part of music is totally necessary in life.
Of course. And again, because you're a person and you're diverse, you'll have moments where you're going to do that.
Yeah,
and maybe the band will go back to that.
Yeah.
As you get older, maybe in your 30s, you're like, hey, we just want to fucking write fun music. And like,
maybe I do a solo
'cause that's
thing
where you're
for
at.
5 years, and that's what it is.
yeah, exactly.
But
right now, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I just,
and it's making an impact. So that's really
Thanks,
cool.
man. And the cool thing, though, is that we've been kind of thrown into this whole, like, rock radio world lately. Shout out to, like, Octane has been incredible.
Ride
for
that
us.
wave, man.
Dude, it's been
Ride
great.
it.
And
Look at Linkin Park.
Yeah, well,
right?
Here's the crazy thing. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but, like, we did a tour with Jonathan Davis recently from
Oh,
Korn,
wow.
right?
How was that?
Incredible. Like, the dude's a legend, super nice guy, brings Fortnite into his room.
Oh,
every
cool.
Sunday, plays,
Yeah, yeah.
huge gamer.
He's a big sober guy, so he's just like,
he's cool. Drummer from Korn was there as well. He actually got our drummer Aaron a Pearl endorsement.
Okay,
Like,
so
and helped
good.
him out with that.
Do you like that guy, Alan?
I was just gonna say, is it
The current one.
the current? So
Yeah.
Ray Mayorga.
Yeah, Ray, yeah.
Yeah. A little goofy with the mascara and shit.
Well, I was gonna say if it was David Silveria, the OG guy, I was gonna
dude,
ask,
he's
is he still hot? Because he was like a fucking, he's like a
he was
model.
a model. Yeah,
Yeah.
like legit.
No, it's
model.
Ray, and Ray's
Ray's not a bad looking guy either.
he's
But
just a dad.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just a dude.
Just a cool
Well, he was
dude.
like a pro session drummer most
Yeah.
of his life.
yeah, he's
incredibly-
killer.
Just got this killer gig
And
playing.
Jonathan Davis music is very, like, world music.
right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very
He's kind of a
different.
hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's you really see all the musicianship come out and all the musicians that he had hired for his
Oh, how
band.
fun.
Like, it was
That's
he had a guy
dope.
playing a sitar, violin.
What size
Damn.
venues is that? I
It's
wonder.
about like anywhere from 1,000 cap to 1,500 cap.
Dude, what a great tour for you
Yeah,
guys.
it was only us and him.
Oh, Jesus
It was
Christ.
great.
So you go on,
Nuts.
there's like 900 people.
Yeah, it was
Right?
really cool. And
Almost full, but not quite yet.
and he
Oh,
treated us
man.
with really a lot of respect.
How long did you guys get to play?
We did a 45-minute set.
Perfect. God, that's like the best tour ever.
I remember I got
Get done early, go back.
I got hit up to do merch for him on that tour, and in the little like brief, it was like, yeah, we need 2 unisex designs for Jonathan Davis on tour, blah blah blah, and then it said Palisades. I was like, oh shit, that's all. And like I work at Rise, didn't even know that was happening. That's how I found out. I was like, that's fucking solid.
It was a crazy one, and you know what's weird? I was talking to Jonathan on that tour, and I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like, being in like the Warped Tour scene for so long and like that, I didn't even for a long time know that bands like that still even toured. I didn't know that Korn toured. I didn't know that like Disturbed still toured.
Right.
I didn't know this rock radio world was even existing. I thought the only rock music was what was going on when I was going on. But they in the rock radio world thought the same thing.
Right.
It. They had no idea that bands like us existed.
Yeah.
They didn't know that Warped Tour was still going on.
It's a big world.
But
I know.
It's kind of sad that like rock was like so like separated. You know what I mean?
I
Like
know.
we didn't even know. But now, and I really, really want to give a credit to Octane about this. Like they are helping so many young rock bands be noticed by all the bigger rock bands, and the other way around too.
Yeah, right.
It's revitalizing.
Well, and you have to keep in mind that bands like all the Dynasty Legacy bands you just named off, Korn, Disturbed, those bands, they need the young blood as much, not as much as you need them, but they do need your audience and your energy too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they want these new bands that are coming up. Like you guys have a buzz.
Yeah.
You're young guys. Yeah. You have a few records under your belt. You're like a veteran band, but to them, you're like the fresh new thing.
Yeah.
And they need that.
And that's great.
So it goes both ways.
And that's perfect though. It's like, all right, so I was touching on this before. I won't go too deep into details, but I think that rock music right now is in a very weird state of limbo, and it's getting strengthened by all these younger bands coming into it. But I think that like every band making music should do everything they possibly can to push the envelope, to make something that's as creative as you possibly can, that is not just your basic rock song, but it will help further our genre of music. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think it's totally possible, especially now you see in hip hop, because I listen to a lot of hip hop and I listen to a lot of like pop music and indie music.
Same.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and you notice that a lot of it is literally taking this punk mentality, like merch from you obviously know merch designs, the whole aesthetic, the fashion. In hip hop songs, there's so many lead guitars, dude. Like X and Kanye like put a song where he's just screaming the whole time. There's breakdowns and songs, and it's like that's coming. It's coming around now where everything's coming back. It's that pendulum of pop, hip hop, rock, pop, hip hop, rock, and it goes in a circle. So I would love to see like a rapper like Post Malone, like I was saying before, put a cosign out, like. Like he I've talked to Post before. Like he's definitely a fan of our band. He's an incredible artist. I would love to see someone to put a band on a hip hop festival show. Because if you look at
I'm surprised it hasn't happened more.
Because if you look at it, right, Travis Scott, who I love, right, he's making everyone's doing mosh pits at shows. Like, could you imagine if they like?
Dude, I just saw a picture of what's that kid's name? Lil Xanny.
Lil Xan.
Lil Xan, yeah.
He had what's the name of that band? He was wearing, Finn posted. It was a metal band. He was wearing a T-shirt of like a kind of an underground fucking hardcore band.
Well, dude,
I think I saw that.
Well, dude, like look at
that's so rad.
Zed was a drummer in a hardcore band.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy! I didn't know that.
Post Malone was in a rock band.
Post Malone was supposed to be in Crown of the Empire.
Yeah, he auditioned.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that, I mean, again, it's just like you can just fucking go either way.
Even me, like I don't know if you guys are familiar with the artist Black Bear.
Yeah,
you know Black Bear.
Yep.
Black Bear is like one of the biggest like SoundCloud R&B hip hop guys right now.
Nice.
I grew up with him. He's from my hometown in Florida, and we went to high school together. We were both in scene bands together at the same time. He did a feature on one of our songs.
To be the change you want to see, go collab with him,
dude,
man.
Well, we did a song with him before, but like I would love to do that stuff in the future.
That's what I loved about Chino from Deftones,
dude.
Like they just fucking took the hip hop world with them.
Totally,
right? like I loved that.
Everyone always says that I look like Chino.
You do look like Chino.
Everyone says
I was thinking that earlier.
Everyone, especially on stage, like but this is totally unintentional. Like, I love Deftones, but I definitely got into Deftones like later on in my life. But like, I guess the way I move on stage and how my voice sounds and like when I scream and stuff
that's
like
so
that.
Cool.
Especially like on like the newer stuff that we're doing, like I was like, dude, you just sound just like, you're like Chino Jr.
Dude, Chino's
and I want to take a picture of them, and be like, Dad,
Dude,
like, you know what I mean?
You should.
Hey, I was thinking, let's go. I need to take a piss.
I was just going to say I didn't want to kill the party, but I keeping my eye on the clock. For
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah, what time
It's
is it?
6:40.
Oh, yeah, I definitely have to
So-
get my girlfriend soon.
Yeah. So obviously I'll throw the airport into Google Maps, see what it is, because it might be around, depending on traffic, it might be about 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, she works at...
What time do you need to pick her up?
Where's my phone? 7. I could text her really quick and just make sure, because I need her address anyway. She works, so she works for like Urban Decay, so she works
Oh,
at
okay,
these,
yeah.
like, Ultas and stuff like that. So.
Whenever you need to go, cool. But I was going to say just a quick 2-minute break, and then we're going to come back and do some current events.
Yeah,
Do that movie trailer.
yeah,
Lighten it up. Just do goofy shit. We can talk
Yeah.
about comics and dork shit for a while.
yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, leave whenever you need to.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back to the show. That was our official piss break, and our dear friend and guest Lou had to take off. He had places to be, but we thank him for being here as long as he was.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, really cool fucking guy. God. And for the audience, that was the first time I met him. Like literally, he walks in 2 minutes later, we are recording.
Yep.
So, yeah, super cool guy.
He randomly came to the Rise office today, and then the team went out with him to get lunch, and I was like, "Hey, we don't have a guest for the podcast."
It's the benefit of where you work, man.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
it was really nice because we
Worked out.
rescheduled this day twice.
Yeah, twice.
So,
Perfecto.
yup.
Super nice guy. Everyone go support that band. It's We Are Palisades.
Yep. Yeah,
We Are Palisades on Instagram.
their album "Erase the Pain" came out December 28th. It's sick, honestly. Like I've listened to the whole record several times. Super catchy,
And you
really
did
well
their
done.
artwork too.
I didn't do the artwork for this one, no,
Nice.
but art is still it's still sick.
Yeah.
Album's great.
Yeah, man. It sounds like their recording experience was really cool too. That's
Yeah,
fucking
I mean
rad.
that was always my dream. Like I wanted to go somewhere where, I got my dick kicked in and
Yeah, really pushed.
and it was rough, but then, you leave having taken a couple bullets, but it's almost more fun that way.
I think so.
You don't want to leave like doing cartwheels and skipping and shit because it probably means that your performance wasn't.
You weren't challenged at all.
Yeah. You got to get out there and learn.
Yeah. You are not perfect despite what every band thinks.
I mean, the studio in general is such a humbling place.
Yep.
It's,
And
every
if it's not, you're not doing it right.
yeah, as a drummer, I learned that most drummers sound killer in a garage somewhere when everyone's been drinking a couple beers and
Yeah.
but then you get into that microscope. You
Oh,
get
yeah.
under that microscope and you're just like, my timing is just barely off, and all of a sudden playing to a click track, the song's faster than I thought it was.
Yeah,
and
that too. Yes.
Real shit.
Yes. Well, let's talk about some current events.
Yes.
And do some worldly topics.
absolutely. So this Louis C.K. thing, he came back giving comedy a shot, which, I mean, who the fuck is surprised about that? He's trying to get back to what he.
Yeah, and again, this is not actually his first time out
No.
since all that shit went down.
No, it's the first set that's been leaked. I mean, the whole fucking set too.
Before we get into the whole thing, that's just one thing I want to say up front. Whether you find this joke that a lot of people found offensive or not or whatever, the thing that Andrew Santino pointed out,
Mm-hmm.
and I totally align with his views on this, it's so not fair to record and then publish a stand-up comics set, especially when they're just trying shit out.
Yeah.
There's a reason he went to some small, dingy, dark club where, when he went there. That's why he went there. He didn't do a special. This wasn't a big stadium tour. Like, this comics go to be, and it's a performance between the performer and you in the audience. No one else.
Yeah.
It's not meant for you. It's not meant for YouTube. It's not meant to be spliced and put out of context.
And stand-up comedy is the thing that in order to practice, you fucking need people.
You need people.
What, are you going to stand in your room like a psycho and line up a bunch of stuffed animals?
No, you're not going to know how the jokes work.
No, you're not going to be scared enough either. You need to feel the judgment of people. You got to go work it out. And while you're doing that, somebody grabs it and goes, I'm gonna fucking air this as though this is your finished product.
Right.
Because for all they know, Louis C.K. was going to drive home that night and go, I don't know, man, that whole Parkland shooting joke, like, just that didn't feel right. I don't think I'm going to do that again.
Yep.
But now this lady or this dude has posted it, and it's like, oh, he totally stands behind this joke. It's his favorite joke ever.
And he was so serious, you see.
Yeah.
It's like, he's a fucking comic.
Yep.
So anyway, let's play the clip. I think hopefully, I think that was the clip you had ready.
What the fuck is it? It's never done that.
Oh, yeah,
fucker.
The thingy thing.
Fucker.
This is probably the best audio.
So I'm a little disappointed in the younger generation, honestly, because I'm 51 years old, and when I was like 18 to my 20s, I mean, we were idiots. We were getting high, doing mushrooms and shit, and then older people were like, you gotta get your shit together, and we were like, yeah, you. And I was kind of excited to be in my 50s and see people in their 20s and be like, they're crazy. These kids are nuts, but they're not. They're fucking, they're just boring. And telling them, you shouldn't say that. What are you, an old lady? What the are you doing? It's not appropriate. You're a child. I don't know, they testify in front of Congress, these kids? Like, what are you doing? You're young. You should be crazy. You should be unhinged. Not in a suit saying, I'm here to tell you. You're not interesting. Because you went to a high school where kids got shot? Why does that mean I have to listen to you? How does that make you interesting? You didn't get shot. You pushed some fat kid in the way. And then now I got to listen to you talking?
Dude.
I mean, that's fucking gold.
That's a great joke.
And it's such a great point.
And it's such a good point. I mean, look, like I've heard other people argue the same point. Tragedy does not make you a specialist in something. Tragedy does not make you an expert in something, right?
Right.
Like these kids who went all these gun marches and stuff. I'm not saying they shouldn't or they should or whatever, but it doesn't make them an expert on gun legislation all of a sudden.
Right, or even broader than that. Huh? It doesn't make you infallible as a person.
No.
Like you are now, you have been ordained as this special...
Right.
You have this halo over you because you went through something rough. People go through rough shit all the time.
Two things can exist at the same time. Multiple things can exist at the same time.
Yeah,
you can be compassionate and feel bad for those kids. What they went through is fucking horrific. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyone in their right mind wouldn't argue that. But what you can argue is that, like you just said, they're not, what was the word you, infallible?
Infallible.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And they're also, believe it or not, they're fucking kids.
Yeah.
they're 16, 17
I think we're
children.
also looking at just and this is the most frustrating for me because I think you have to have lower intelligence in order for this to be the case for you. But there's a shock factor. I think that he talked about a school shooting.
Yes.
Or not even that. He referenced one as a part of his joke. That's all he said.
That's the whole point.
But it's just like if you went up there and talked about
Auschwitz or
you say the word Nazi or
right.
Everyone's going to pull back just a little bit because just those sounds coming out of your mouth mean something and it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, is what he said deplorable? No. He just referenced some shit that is deplorable, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. What
is deplorable is not being in a comedy club, not being a comedian, going up to some random Parkland victim and saying, "You're a fucking jerk, and you have no right to be sad." That's a deplorable thing to do.
Yes,
that's not what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's a professional comedian. and again, if you like the joke or you don't, cool. But I don't know. People are like, what the? You know what's funny is they're doing now. People are reacting to that joke exactly the way that he's talking about. Like that's his point of the joke.
Yep.
Is that young people today are fucking pussies.
You're making
They're
his
a bunch
joke
of babies.
You're making his joke true as shit.
True as shit.
Yeah. It's
It's exhausting.
It's so
fucking babies.
It's a little embarrassing.
And then all the people like Judd Apatow. Did you see that part of it?
I actually didn't. No, I heard that Judd Apatow had some sort of a response, but
yeah, I'll get his response. To be honest with you, it really pissed me off.
It's just so easy to pile on right now too. Like Louis C.K. is a safe target.
Yeah, like real brave of you, bro.
Yeah,
real brave. Okay, so after that, he gets on Twitter and says, this is from Judd Apatow, the writer, director, guy that did Knocked Up, all those movies that we all love. He says, this hacky, unfunny, shallow routine is just a symptom of how people are afraid to feel empathy. It's much easier to laugh at our most vulnerable than to look at their pain directly and show them love and concern. Louis C.K. is all fear and bitterness now. He can't look inward. That's coming from a...
Could you fucking imagine if Louis C.K. got on stage, did no jokes, and instead just talked about how much empathy he feels?
Is that what stand-up is supposed to be now?
Bro, you would get booed off the stage. You are there to be funny. You're not there to fucking talk about how touched you are by victims.
Judd Apatow is a fellow comic. He started in stand-up. That's how he got in this thing. When he was 16, he used to interview stand-ups. Do you know that? Yeah. So he's like a stand-up fan.
Yes.
Stand-up.
He did the fucking what's the Larry Sanders Show documentary thing he did?
Yeah. On what the fuck is that guy's name?
He was on the Paul Provenza show where they
passed away.
Green Room or whatever.
Was it Larry Sanders with the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Larry Sanders Show. What the fuck's that guy's name?
I don't know why I'm blanking on it too.
It's Gary Shandling.
Yeah, okay.
Gary
I
Shandling.
knew it was Gary. I couldn't remember the last name.
Yeah, they were like really close friends. Judd Apatow does a documentary on that guy after he passes away. The point is like you can't eat your own. You can't turn on your own. You shouldn't, at least. Because that shit comes back around, bro.
Yeah.
You think you're fucking perfect?
It just, I mean...
It's just pandering to fucking ultra-liberal...
Pandering is the word for sure.
Leftist fucking horseshit.
That is extreme leftism right there for me. That is so far from fucking... From balanced.
And again, like to Louis C.K.'s point in the joke, by the way, it's a joke, but into his point is that it's like... I think he says at one point, what are you, an old lady?
Right.
Like, remember growing up for us, my childhood, the people that were like wanting censorship on CDs and people that were worried about like porn and like that stuff were like the right.
Yes.
Ultra conservative, ultra right, ultra like Christian. That was what that was for me growing up, and you, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah. And
now all of a sudden it's like it's actually becoming like the far left, the now that want censorship. And they want people to be in this one frame of mind and, you know, don't be offensive. And like, what's that one female comic? She put out that special. And it's maybe the most unfunny thing I've ever heard. What is her fucking name? Where she basically just attacks men and like the...
Oh, fuck, that's a lot of female comics.
What is her fucking name?
It could be... I don't know. A lot of names are coming to mind.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Well,
Isla Schlesinger,
no,
Tig Notaro.
No, she's funny. She's funny. This person is like, she's British. What is her name? Delia was talking about her too.
Oh,
she basically rips on modern comedians that like, you know, you can't do rape jokes. You can't do anti-woman jokes. You can't do gender non-binary jokes, and like that. There is too far in comedy, and it's like it's very serious.
See if you can find that. I would love to know. While you're looking that up, I think a really fucking important point with this Louis C.K. shit is that he makes no judgment. All he says is that the younger generation now are basically what the older generation 20 years ago were. But he doesn't ever say, and because of that, they're all pieces of shit, or because of that, they're all worse than their parents were. He doesn't. He's literally just comparing. He's making an observation, and then it ends there. But everybody's finishing the thought for him, and saying that he's saying something super derogatory about these people specifically, and he isn't.
No. So I found her. It's Hannah Gadsby.
Haven't even heard of her.
Hannah Gadsby. That's a picture of her.
That's exactly what I would have thought. Yeah.
Super short hair.
Yeah.
Glasses. Yeah, it's maybe the most unfunny thing I've ever heard. It's on Netflix.
And it's always going to be, because that is the antithesis of comedy, is to fucking go against really anything, or to censor yourself in any way, shape, or form. You cannot go on stage in an effort to be funny and then begin listing things people can't say in an effort to be funny.
Yeah. This person is kind of ripping on her. Says, quote, comedians are fashioning themselves not as joke tellers, but as truth tellers, as intellectual and moral guides through the cultural debates of the moment. Ugh.
Least funny sentence ever.
Least funny sentence ever. I thought maybe I'm fucking crazy here, Alan. You know,
I don't think
correct me
so.
if I'm wrong. Maybe check my privilege here. But I thought comedy was supposed to make me laugh.
Yeah.
Am I off there? Like,
I mean, that
what?
That is the ultimate argument, because if I listen to this Louis C.K. shit and I laugh, then he is right.
He did his job.
Yep.
That's it. Period.
Because I guarantee you that, of course, I can't prove this, but I think that it is a very safe assumption that he went on stage to say some words that make people laugh.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive that's what he did.
Yeah.
Only just because of his entire history of his life doing that.
And I understand that other people believe that his career should be him getting on stage and being super sensitive and having a lot of empathy for people, but that's not
the point of a comic.
That's not what a stand-up comic does, nor is it what anybody would any sane person would want. I'm not going to buy fucking tickets for $25 tickets for JB Smoove at Helium in Portland and then have him go up on stage and be like, so there was a school shooting. I'm real heartbroken about it.
Yep.
Also, I was thinking about 9/11. That was a tragedy. I was thinking about that other school shooting. That sucked. My mom died yesterday. You would be like, okay, dude, I'm leaving. This is fucking weird.
Yes.
I don't want to hear any of this shit. I came here to laugh, so I don't have to think about that shit.
It's fucking crazy.
You can laugh about shit, and it can still be considered a tragedy to you. I mean, I've been to a couple funerals where some jokes are cracked about the motherfucker that's dead, that the funeral is for.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a beautiful relief.
Beautiful, man. Yeah.
For the tragedy that everyone is experiencing at that exact moment.
You know how you know you're wrong, you're off on those kind of jokes? When no one laughs.
Right.
Right?
And then that doesn't even mean that you're wrong. That just means they weren't ready, and that's cool too.
Yeah, that means they weren't ready, or your delivery wasn't whatever. It means that you didn't do it well. Yeah. Right? I mean, what the fuck are we even talking about?
I've never had... I remember my aunt making a really funny joke, like, I don't know, a few weeks after my grandpa died. We had all done our crying. We had all done our... And my response to that was to laugh. It wasn't, yeah, that's right, fuck him. Right. I wasn't like, that's right, that piece of shit. I'm glad he's dead now so that we can all finally say what we feel. No, it was just, hey, here's a joke, and it's an offer of relief. That's all, because we've spent our weeks being bummed about shit. Yeah. And here's the thing. A lot of those motherfuckers in the audience, I would assume, were not directly related to some of these victims, so they kind of have less of a right to be offended for the victims and for their families.
Yes.
That's like the grossest thing is like, hey, can I hold on to your tragedy? Let me hold on to it. Ugh. Because then I've got this little fucking powerful glowing thing in my hand and I'm infallible. I can just... Yeah. That's the grossest thing about people nowadays.
You know who Sam Tripoli is?
Yeah.
How do you spell his name? Sam Tripoli?
Trip and then OLI.
Because he responded to Judd Apatow's response.
Mm-hmm.
And it is amazing. Let me see if I can find that. That was 45 minutes ago. Okay, so let's see where that would be. Fill in the space, Alan. Let me find this.
Yeah, no problem. I got some other shit rolling.
Okay.
I wonder if there's any more, if it would make sense to even play a little more Louis C.K. shit. I'll see what else I got.
Oh, okay. I think I got it here.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So in response to what Judd Apatow said, Sam Tripoli, another stand-up comic for people who don't know, he says, I stand with Louis C.K. Judd, did you call out Lena Dunham when she admitted to molesting her sister or falsely accusing a man of sexual assault in college? No, of course not. If anyone knows Hacky, it's you. You used a cheat code to get on stage to be one of us. We won't forget this.
Damn.
So, whatever that's worth to you. That's what Sam Tripoli said.
Yeah.
He has a point.
Yeah, because Judd is like, he's buddy-buddy with Lena Dunham, right? And she's creepy to me.
Yeah, he's part of the ultra-political correct, safe words, safe spaces.
I mean, yeah, I can't help but wonder if that's because he has a wife and 2 daughters. He's just fucking swimming in estrogen all day, every day for the last...
Jesus, I
don't know, 20 years or what? I don't know how old.
Well, it's just a bummer. This is a guy who is a professional comedian. Judd Apatow is really funny, and I love his movies. And by the way, his movies are super fucking edgy.
Maybe that's the problem, is that
like
he is
super bad and knocked up and like, what?
It might be that he is a professional comedian and not an authentic comedian.
And it has to be
he
now.
He is a...
I lost a ton of respect for him after that.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan as well. Like,
me too. Huge fan.
But here's the thing. Just like Louis C.K., I'll still watch some Judd Apatow shit.
I know.
I don't give a shit. Like,
me too.
And I can't even say that they're the same thing. Like, and that's the other massive point I want to make, in case there's like female listeners that are like, they're just sitting here defending this dude that jerked off in front of women. No, that's garbage.
No.
Like, that shouldn't happen.
Well, what it is me and you are capable of separating things.
Right. Yeah, there is definitely that.
What do people want? Do they want Louis C.K. to die? No, I'm not even kidding. Like, what do they want?
Yeah, that is kind of the big question.
Do they want him to, like, what? Go to prison forever, for life? The death sentence? I'm not even kidding. Like, what do people actually want to happen?
Yeah.
This is his vocation. It's what he was put on this earth to do. He's a comedian. He's been a comedian his entire life.
And he elected to go away for a year.
And he did.
He
went dark as fuck, man. You didn't hear from the guy.
Yeah.
He steps out of the shadows, and it's not enough for anyone.
Yeah.
When will it be enough? I don't know.
Yeah. And for some people, it for sure never will be. Just like there's some guys that, listen, I'm the biggest fucking animal lover on the face of the planet, but I'm down for Michael Vick to do what he's got to do. Play some football. I don't give a shit.
That's right.
He drowned and burned puppies. Like, I can't think of anything darker.
Right.
And yet he did his fucking time. Now, that's the point of rehabilitation? You have to give that chance once the price is paid.
It's also the part of a free society and culture.
Yeah.
If you truly believe that someone like Louis C.K., if you disagree with him wholeheartedly, and you're disagreeing with what I'm saying, what we're saying right now, and you want him to not be able to do stand-up comedy, then me and you don't align on what a free society is at all. Because you're telling me that you want to live in a society where the mob gets to decide what people can and can't do. What should be the deciding factor is the market. If you don't like Louis C.K., don't buy his ticket.
Yep.
Do something else. Go support another comic that you do believe in. You like their values. Go to their store. That's how you win. That's how you beat Louis C.K. That's how you beat the people you don't like.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That truly is.
Put down the pitchfork and the torches. And
go do your own thing. Be bigger.
It's true because...
it's still, not to interrupt, but that's the whole Gary Vaynerchuk thing. Like, if you want to build a big building, you don't knock someone else's building down. You just build a bigger building.
I mean, if you think about it, it is pretty insane that anybody would spend their time,
it's crazy,
instead of searching for what they like, standing outside the door of what they don't like.
That's right.
And just going, no. And some would say that, growing up and letting Louis C.K. do whatever he's got to do, and if you don't like it, you move on. That's how we become a type 1 civilization.
That's right, man.
No
shit. It actually is. And again, like with people who, I mean, you could take this as far as you want to take it. Politics. If you think, say the most vile people, like genuinely racist, KKK, skinhead, Nazi fuckers.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that thinks they don't have the right to march, they don't have the right to go down the street and yell horrific shit and swastikas and the whole thing. That's really fucking dangerous, man. Like even the reason you actually want them to be able to do that is so we can see them.
You're right.
That you want it to be in the open.
Don't force him to go do it in the shadows.
No, that's what Bin Laden does, man. That's what fucking crazy terrorist shit. That's what happens.
Yep.
They go hide in a cave. They hide in the fucking shadows, and then kaboom. No, you want them to feel like we're part of this too. And they can.
Yeah, you want to be able to see him at Fred Meyer and be like, "Whoa, I know
see
you
now. I see you.
I saw you walking down the street."
Yeah. Yep. And that's how you can take him down. You see him.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
Anyway. That's it's shocking to me actually. When I first heard that clip, I remember thinking like that was it. There has to be more.
Yep,
there has to be more to this story.
I woke up one morning and I jammed the whole thing. I was washing dishes and just listening to it, and I was like, "Yo, the first thing I took from it was like he's back." Like I love that shit. Could have been in a special.
Sounds like Lou Miceli to me.
That's just shit that he's working on, and I was like, I love this. I'm fully gonna take part in his. And here's something I thought about though, and this is where you start to like you color it in a little bit more, you make it a little more convoluted. Is what if one of the women that he jerked off in front of, what if one of them was your mother or your sister? One, most likely you're gonna probably write him off a little bit more than you are now, and two, is that fair? Is that crazy?
Well, no, you would write him off more.
Yeah, because it's a little closer to home.
Well, but that's why you do it though, because it's personal.
Yes,
it's not personal for me.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean that's very sane.
Yep.
And only in a non-free society should people expect your experience. This is me. My experience should be your experience. My life should reflect your life.
Yeah.
And because this happened to my mom, that this guy should not be able to make a living. This guy should be, you know what I'm saying? Like if you want to take, so what I would do if he did that to I have 3 sisters and no brothers. I grew up in a woman-rich environment.
Yeah.
That happened to any of those women that I fucking adore, then I would have a personal war against that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I would personally, I would do everything I can to something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I wouldn't do is demand that he doesn't have a job. I wouldn't. I don't know.
Well, another layer to this too is that these women that he did this to, or did this in front of, whatever the language is, they are comedians, and
that's right.
You're not really hearing from them much.
Nope.
And so much of the narrative is just he shouldn't be able to do what he's doing anymore. And not that I'm saying they should be built up, kind of like we were just talking about. You're a victim, so now you're infallible. Yep. You should now headline, all around the world because you have endured this thing. No, you still need to be an incredible comedian to fill those seats. But I do wish that they were, and maybe they're declining the opportunities that they're being offered, but I feel like they're not being given opportunities to maybe hop on some podcasts, talk about some shit. Maybe not even just the Louis C.K. thing, but maybe you start the podcast with that, but then you go into some other things. Let us get to know.
You're hearing from everyone but the people that it happened
to. And
I
feel like they're getting buried.
Yep.
Like they're really...
You're doing a disservice to the victims.
Right. Yeah, and they're just... Because, I mean, this is their career. This is something that they're really passionate about. And
it's a terrible thing what happened to them.
I couldn't even tell you the names of any of them. I've read those names, and I've forgotten them.
I know.
And then what's it like to be victimized by somebody, and then a year later, they go and do a stand-up set, and it's a really big deal. Right. Meanwhile, you've maybe or maybe not been doing stand-up comedy for the year, and it has reached 0 people.
Yeah,
no
and
one
also
cares.
To be a female in comedy, which must be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Just to be a female in general is tough, dude.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know. Anyway. But I guess for me, it's like, you know how you know that what he did isn't, this is going to sound terrible. But you know how you know that what am I trying to say? Like
that he's borderline being accused of rape without raping anybody?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like that's the energy.
Well, that you know that it's not bad enough that he should actually be wiped off the face of the earth. You know how you know that?
Right.
Because he's not.
Yeah.
He's still here.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because he serves 0 jail time.
Well, you can compare it to other things. What about Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
Look what happened to him. The people spoke.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone that defends that. I've never met anybody who's like, no, I still think that guy should be, let's go buy tickets for that guy. By the way, I still think Bill Cosby should have had the right to be a comedian and make movies and do stand-up, right?
Yeah.
But the people spoke. No one would support him. It's sorry, over. Now he's going to prison. Mm-hmm. Or he is in prison or whatever it is now.
His fucking eyes are falling out of his
eyes
head.
are fucking... God spoke. The universe spoke. Yeah. We as a people spoke. That guy's done, donezo, never again to come back.
It's crazy, dude, because I feel like Bill Cosby didn't quite get enough.
Yeah.
And Louis C.K.'s getting too much.
Well, that's my point.
That shows how fucked our barometers are as human beings. Like we are, because, I mean, to your point, there were people, specifically black male comedians, that were trying to defend him. Not really defend him, but they were just saying, like, when it was only 10 accusers, they were like,
yeah, I remember that.
10 accusers.
Right.
But think about that. If 10 women, if I go, hey, James, like, you're going to start hearing some shit, but I'll tell you first, 10 women are accusing me of rape. There isn't a bone in your body that's not going to be like, yo, Alan, you raped 10 women. Yeah. Like, who's going to accuse? That's a shitload of people. Now, you have to give him credit
and
for
how
the
fact we did it.
He's a celebrity, so okay, 10 people accusing him as a celebrity, that is a little fishy. Whereas if it was me, non-celebrity, that's okay. Right. Cool, I get that. But then it's 20, and there's still people that are just like, I mean, but it's 20.
And the detail, and it's just
and then it's 30, and then it's 4, and then that's when you started to hear some of the defenses
and the
slip
criminal
away.
Part of it.
Yeah,
that this went to court.
Yeah, and that he had previously paid somebody off.
Yeah.
20 years prior, like that's damning.
We can't be a society that judges people by mob rule.
Yeah.
You can't. And even if that makes you feel uncomfortable, even if you disagree with what I'm saying, even if you disagree about this Louis C.K. thing, you think that it's a vile joke and you should have said it. You have a right to think that. But you don't have a right to take away living in a free society.
Yeah.
You don't.
I know.
Sorry.
And to a degree, like we're all assholes, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
That's
like
right.
None of us really have the power. I mean, the masses could have the power to shut Louis down, but right now they're not. They're
not making a dent. They think they are.
There's a few websites. Yeah, there's a few articles that are like, he shouldn't have done this. He doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't give a fuck.
It's not going to stop him.
And I promise you, people like Judd Apatow who said what he said, he's the one that's going to lose in the end.
Yeah.
Now he's inviting hate. He's inviting all this negative energy his way. Oh my God, the support for Louis C.K. is pretty strong still.
Yeah.
And my guess is it's much stronger than the lack of support for him.
Boy, and Judd went fucking all in, and I don't think that there was enough.
All in.
There's not enough to go all in on this.
No. What are we even talking about?
You just tried to fucking cut Louis' balls off over what?
I know.
He's doing some comedy. Like, what the fuck?
And that's a really dumb thing for an artist to do. That's really bad karma. Because it can just come back your way.
Yep.
It can and it will.
But I mean, we also live in an age where it's not a bad business move to pander to women. It's not a bad business move to pander to minorities, and that's something that you see with the far left. They're like, oh, I'm gonna pander to this shit. I may say some shit that offends people, but whatever I say is what I really feel. Mm-hmm. I'm never like kind of telling you yes, but then behind your back telling the other person I told you no, and it just. I think authenticity is important, and what bugs me the most about Judd is it just feels inauthentic.
So
you've got to now your leftist brain has to battle with your comedian brain, and it's disappointing that the leftist brain won.
Agreed. I know it's a bummer. Like late night hosts, every single one of them, like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, who are the other ones? Jimmy Kimmel. They are. It's like. What happened here? What's the point of the show now? I thought the point of these late night shows were like to be funny. Like remember early Conan O'Brien and Letterman? They were so fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like you could check out and like these goofy skits and it was edgy and funny. Jimmy Fallon is still somewhat funny and he's not super like political and left all the time, even though you totally know where he stands.
Yeah.
But like Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know if there's one show that'll go by where he doesn't rip on Trump, he doesn't rip on the right, he doesn't. It's like, oh, is that your job? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought your job was to be a comedian.
Well, yeah, and
to host a fucking show.
To piggyback on Louis C.K.'s point, how he's saying that kids should be fucking crazy and that the old people should be in Congress and trying to get things banned and all that shit. Comedians should be edgy.
Yes.
And are president should be minding his P's and Q's and being politically correct. And we're living a flip-flop world there, too.
Absolutely.
We got the president fucking grabbing pussies and saying fuck you.
The
and
fucking degenerate
and
piece of
hiring
shit.
and firing people in his own cabinet left and right.
Yeah.
Turnaround rate
Yeah.
fucking... Because he's such an unorganized piece of shit, shouldn't have the job that he does. And then you've got Jimmy Fallon that's like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Like, the people that should be edgy just are the furthest thing
again,
from
he's
it.
a hypocrite. He was the host of The Man Show.
Yeah.
The fucking Man Show.
Fucking crazy.
Type in, like, Jimmy Kimmel Man Show days. Yeah, you don't have to do it now, but, like, if you
I
look
was
at...
a fan.
Yeah, but, I mean, my point is, like, he's a fucking hypocrite. He was going around, like, squeezing girls' tits.
Yeah.
And, like, talking about his dick and, like, stuff now that would get him fired. And I'm surprised it hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Like, all it takes is one social justice warrior dickhead to put together a compilation, put it out of context, and ruin his life.
God,
and if he doesn't see that irony, then boy, oh boy.
Dude, going back to the Man Show real quick, man.
Anyway.
Juggy Vanessa. Did you ever...
I remember. Yeah.
Dude. I had most of the Juggies names memorized, but Vanessa was the one. I Googled her the other day. She hasn't aged well, but...
I mean,
was there a show that objectified women more ever in the history of TV?
It was on like cable fucking television.
Oh fuck!
I know. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
So that's where we stand on that, I guess. And by the way, I reserve the right to admit that I could be wrong at any point. Yeah. I'm always open to hearing. If anyone has a different view, let me know. Because I'm just a fucking dude. We're just dudes talking to a microphone.
Yep.
We're not more prepared than you. We're not more intellectual. I don't have any more information than you do. I'm just talking shit into a microphone.
This next one is, I don't know. It's kind of an exhausting thing because I followed it pretty heavily, but it's just it's a shit show, and I sort of feel like the story, there's not much of a story.
What?
With it, but it's the John Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Having a picogram of some sort of steroid in his system. The long and the short of it is that he popped for something, and he's claiming, as well as the UFC and USADA, they're all saying that this is left over from the last time he popped in 2017.
Right.
And that this is it's
picogram.
It's a picogram.
First time we've ever heard that word.
Yes. And a lot of MMA fans have heard, it's already starting to become a meme, but John Jones saying that Jeff Nowitzki, who used to be a part of USADA, or still is, but now also very openly works with the UFC, is an employee of the UFC. John Jones was saying that Jeff Nowitzki said that picogram was the equivalent of a grain of salt in an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Right.
And he said that over and over as if it was this very scientifically exonerating comment. Mm-hmm. I don't know. John Jones has smelled dirty to me for years now. I'm at the point where I'm not shocked. I think it's going to tarnish his legacy. He's going to go down as a cheater. He's the Lance Armstrong of MMA right now. But he's also
the best fighter of all time.
He's a bad motherfucker. This fight with Alexander Gustafsson was one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen, because their first fight was considered fight of the year. It was, Alexander Gustafsson almost won. They both were in the hospital that night. They each fucked each other up. Yeah. This fight, this rematch, it was so one-sided. It's not even funny. John Jones picked him apart. Controlled distance.
It's very complicated.
It felt like Alexander Gustafsson had the fucking flu.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating because fans knew what he was capable of, and he couldn't take out John Jones, despite the fact that John Jones has had a 1.5 to 2 year layoff.
Yeah, and I think that, because you've heard other people say this, there's not a pill or a shot. There's not a drug you can take that is going to make you be as good as a fighter as John Jones.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. You can't take drugs and then hit smash home runs like Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Sorry. Like that superior fucking athlete mode is a once in a lifetime thing. You don't see it that often. those drugs help you recover. Sure, they help you perform a little bit better, get stronger, faster, whatever. And it might be that edge that pushes you over, and that's not fair. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm just making a point that he still is arguably the best fighter of all time, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are considering him the greatest MMA fighter.
And if he's not the greatest, he's up there on the pedestal of the top 3.
Yeah, and listen,
top 5.
I mean, this last weekend, I don't even know when the fight was. That holiday break scrambled my brain in terms of like internal calendar and shit. But whenever that fight was, I think it was the 29th. You can't argue that, to your point, steroids are not going to make him mentally stronger. They're not going to make him more resilient to pressure and pieces of shit like me saying he's a cheater, he's dirty, he fucking sucks. He walked into an arena of mostly people that were like, hey, what's up, dude? Hoping you get your fucking head knocked off your body, Mortal Kombat style. Like everybody, he was kind of the Floyd Mayweather of MMA that night because everyone wanted to see him dead. Just get knocked the fuck out. And he's smiling as he's
smiling.
Like he's so confident and he knows what he's got to do, and steroids aren't going to do that, dude.
They really
his
aren't.
fight IQ and his ability to manage circumstances, it's uncanny.
Now, with that said, I'm not sure where I stand on it now. Like as far as, do you believe what's his name? Nowitzki?
Yeah, Jeff Nowitzki.
Jeff Nowitzki and the UFC, or are you on the side of more like Brendan Schaub, who he's like super, this smells fishy. What is he called? The skeptical hippo eyes?
Yeah.
And
it's hard not to be on Schaub's side with this just because.
But see, I was, when he first ranted about it, I was totally like, how could you not be on his side? I was just so on it when the first podcast he did back from the Christmas break, he just went off. And then I go and listen to the Rogan podcast the next day.
Oh, with
Jeff
Nowitzki on it?
Yeah. Did you listen to that?
I listened to, over half of it, a great deal of it.
I would say the ending is the more where I made the turn.
Okay.
I'll even say this. I almost never do this. I disliked the video. I was fucking annoyed. The first half, I was like, Jesus, Rogan is just like pandering to this. And this is like a UFC commercial. And oh my God, this is really a bummer to see. But towards the second half and really like the last, when they just start wrapping it up, it's very genuine. And Rogan even says at one point, he's like, look, I don't know one side or another. I'm just asking you to think, slow down. This is very complicated. You don't know as much as you think you do. Experts are experts for a reason. There are some times in life you have to trust the experts. Yeah. There's not a lot of them out there on this. There just isn't. There's like a handful of people who can really weigh in on whether he should have fought or not, right? So anyway, my point being, but towards the end, I was just like, now I don't know what to fucking think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got no problem.
I'm just kind of like, but
I have no problem swallowing the pill that we're telling people to swallow regarding the Louis C.K. thing. Like, hey, he did whatever time he did. He was sanctioned by an athletic commission. He fought. He fucking won. Sick. No. Like, I'm cool with all that. Those are objective facts. That's cool. But it's just hard for me not to draw the conclusion.
Yeah. There's too much.
The very understandable conclusion that the UFC, there is a reason. Just the fact that the UFC has hired Jeff Nowitzki, that screams foul play to me. Like, that's what you do. His nickname on the street is the Golden Snitch.
I know.
Because he catches motherfuckers. So if you are a company that employs those motherfuckers that he's catching, why the fuck wouldn't you go get the motherfucker that's catching these dudes? Yeah. You go get him so that he's now in your office and you can bend his ear a little bit and go, hey, we really need John Jones to fight.
And I didn't know that he worked for the UFC now.
Yeah.
I was unaware of that.
I think a lot of people were unaware of that.
Dude.
Yeah.
So, it's just, he has every reason to make it easy on Dana White in the UFC. The fact that it was moved from the Nevada Commission to LA, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like, Nevada was like, what the fuck? This is fucking fishy shit. We can't fucking pass this
It's
guy.
a shrewd fucking move. But I mean, those were the moves that Dana White and back when his partners, the Fertittas, had something to do with Zuffa. That's what they did.
That's what they did, dude.
They knew how to do that.
Fucking mobsters, man.
Absolutely. They fucking get it.
Dana doesn't fuck around. I mean, you can say what you want about him. I don't dig everything about him for sure. But you can't argue that like he's grown this sport from nothing into like a legitimate sport.
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel personally. I would trust him
Dirty.
with Dick, but
As
a fan of the sport, he is our Vince McMahon. I need him. When I
just so you know, I actually can't wait until he's gone.
Oh,
That's
okay.
my personal thing.
Yeah. Here's my thing with it. This is where I think he brings value because I know he definitely hurts shit too.
Yeah.
But for me, I'll watch the post-fight press conferences or a scrum or some shit. I always watch the Dana White ones first.
I do too.
Those are my favorite.
I do too.
Not only because he's boss man, so most of the valuable information is going to come from him.
Yeah.
But also just because I like seeing him fucking get mad at a journalist. I like seeing journalists give him shit.
I do too. I mean, I do. Maybe I don't mean that I can't wait till he's gone. I think what I'm saying is like, and Shaw brings this up all the time. I think if the UFC genuinely wants to be just as, equivalent to the NBA, NFL, MLB, they want to be one of those 3-letter professional sports that our parents check in on.
Mm-hmm.
Then that whole Dana's too much of a personality. It's too much about him and how he feels. Yeah. He's too sensitive. He's too defensive. He has personal vendettas against people. It's too much about him. And that's bad for that reason.
I agree.
It should be more about the UFC. It should be a little bit more faceless, I think.
My only fear is that the way that I look at it, I sort of don't ever want the UFC to be one of those big 3 sports.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't think that it really can be.
Yeah, and I don't know if it can. I was just going to say, it might not. It's a fucking brutal sport.
I mean, look at the big 3 sports. You get carded or flagged or whatever the fuck for being violent.
Yeah.
Even though football is, for all intents and purposes,
right.
it's a violent sport, but then there is unsportsmanlike
thing.
Exactly.
Hockey's going through.
You get fucked with all that. I think that, and Dana White has fucking exhausted this sentiment more than anybody. But if you put in between a football stadium, a basketball game, and a soccer field, and in the middle of that is a fight, everyone's going to look at that fight. It could be a fight on the street corner between 2 drunks.
Oh, yeah.
Most people are going to want to watch that.
Oh yeah.
More than they're going to want to see, this fucking playoff game it's in our nature, and I don't think it's in everyone's nature. I know some people that would just be like, it makes them uncomfortable, whatever.
It used to make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I used to not be able to watch it, yeah.
Yep. But it's
too much for me.
I think that if you try to go, they just signed this deal with ESPN, and I could see ESPN to a degree trying to sterilize it a little bit.
I hope not.
But it's going to bum me out quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. Dana can't be there forever. And he's already fucking billionaire, where the fuck he is now at this point.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
pretty sure.
Literally close to being a billionaire.
It was $4 billion for the when WME IMG bought Zuffa. So
he's definitely not doing it for the money.
I'd have to imagine he got a fair cut of that.
He's not getting any younger.
No.
I mean, he still definitely has a lot of time left if he wants to.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'm more of a casual fan of MMA and the UFC, but just from what I've seen, it's just something about it rubs me the wrong way. But I don't know. You ask other people that have been like Stefan, my best friends. He's a huge fight fan.
Yeah, I used to watch fights with him in Austin.
Yeah,
here.
And they're both like ride or die for Dana.
Yeah.
Stefan, he's like gotten mad at me before. It's like, dude, you don't fucking understand. This shit wouldn't exist without him.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hear him. I get that. Because
There's
I wasn't around then.
A lot of people could jump into his position and make the shit still work. I think that he adds. It's almost like he's the bad boy piece of shit. He's like a Dennis Rodman for us. Yeah. And he adds a little color. I like it.
The part of the military that, that part in A Few Good Men, where Jack Nicholson goes, the whole like, you can't handle the truth.
Oh,
that line.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the point that he's going off on this idea that there's parts of the military that we all, behind closed doors, when we're being honest with ourselves, we want Navy SEALs to exist.
Yeah.
We want these brutal fucking warrior murdering fucking savages to exist so that we can go and fucking shop at the mall and be people. And it's like that, necessary evil thing. Anyway, that's kind of like what Dana White probably is for that world. It's like,
Right.
you know there's kind of gross and it's unethical and it maybe makes us look bad, but God,
Like he's facilitating shit, but because of that, he's got to see some shit
yeah,
that we don't have to.
that's right.
Yeah,
He's just taking
absolutely.
the punches for us.
I think he's also just made for it, dude. Being a promoter, that is not there's no school you go to for that. That is, you just have to have it in your blood. You got to have that personality. You need to be a little bit of a jackal, a little bit
for
of an alpha
sure.
male, but at the same time shrewd and clever enough to know
Yep.
how to fuck. I mean, look at they claim they don't have a monopoly on MMA, but okay. I
That's
mean,
okay.
they
Yeah.
100% do. That is,
mean-
they are the premium product. And then at this point, and only because of what Scott Coker has done for Bellator, you could consider Bellator even a competitor. But until then,
But not even really.
I mean, they bought Strikeforce, they bought Pride. It just they
UFC
ate up
did.
their fucking competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now if you have Fight Pass, their little it's like the UFC's Netflix. You can go back and watch. They have that catalog now. You can go watch Strikeforce.
Isn't
and-
even like Meta Morris, the jiu-jitsu
Yep.
one?
Yeah,
Is
Eddie
that
Bravo's
even
thing.
part
Or
of-
no, that's not. Eddie Bravo's thing is the Eddie Bravo Invitational.
Yeah,
The
EBI.
Meta Morris or whatever that
Morris.
is a Gracie thing, I think.
But don't they show that on Fight Pass?
Yep. Yeah. You watch it on
Does
Fight
the
Pass.
UFC own that?
I don't know that they own it, but they definitely
But they
have
definitely
the
adopt it.
redistribution
Yeah. Right.
rights. Yeah.
So they even have a piece of that pie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they run
That's
around
crazy.
just eating shit up. Especially if it's, I mean, Meta Morris wasn't even that. They were on like their second or third one before the UFC was like, how much?
Yeah.
And Meta Morris knows that they haven't had time to get big enough to ask for a ton. So
Well,
it's
no,
almost smart to
fucking
like,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah, hey, how about we give you $1 million and then we just have your shit, and no matter how big you get,
Yeah.
we reap the reward.
I like watching those matches sometimes.
Yeah. It's got to be the right people. There's, and
I
I
mean,
don't,
even like the most devout jiu-jitsu fan would find that a little boring.
yes.
Jiu-jitsu is a little tough to watch for.
Well, and it's a
long.
tougher world to navigate. I know about like Gary Tonin and Dylan Dennis and Ryan Hall, but there's not a lot that, and some like strictly MMA dudes, they will come in and
Yeah.
I think Chael's done one, and
Yeah, even like Tim Kennedy did one. And
yeah, John Jones
Yeah.
did one against Dan Henderson, I think.
Yeah. They're fun as shit, man.
Yeah.
And Eddie Bravo's thing's fun too.
Yeah.
It's a little culty for me, the whole
He-
Eddie Bravo thing.
Oh, for sure. He fucks with his rules a
10th
little bit
Planet.
more. I think that he allows some shit that
Now they allow it's like slapping or
yeah,
some shit.
open. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of like pancrase and shit. What's that fucker's name?
Yeah, the
Shamrock
Belgian dude.
and yes, yeah.
Um,
Who the fuck am I?
my brain.
Unbelievable.
I know it's the worst.
Boss Rutan.
Boss Rutan.
Yep.
Legend. Another thing I had written down here was that Kanye agreed to be on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
Kanye West.
My only thing with that is I think it's gonna be fucking December 2019.
I know. We'll see if it ever.
Yeah, I want it like right the fuck now. What is that gonna be like?
We'll see. I hope it happens. I really do. So,
Fucking
so
Joe
for those who
Rogan,
don't
man.
know, I think the way the story goes is that Kanye said something like on Twitter or social media that the media doesn't. What did he say? Like they don't promote mental health, or they're not willing to talk. Have
He's
a
looking to talk to
conversation.
somebody seriously.
Yeah,
about it, yeah.
mental health. And then Rogan responded saying, "You're welcome to come on the podcast. Let's do a podcast." And for those who don't know, the Joe Rogan podcast is not only the biggest podcast, but it is one of the biggest media entities at all.
Yeah.
Period. It's bigger than The Tonight Show. It's bigger than 60 Minutes. It's bigger than anything Kanye can do that's interview based.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, that's, and it's actually not even like close. Look up the viewership of Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show, the classic The Tonight Show,
It's so crazy.
versus how many people listen and download and watch the Joe Rogan podcast.
He started that shit in just like a fucking, like I think it was in Red Band's like
Yeah.
LA apartment bedroom or some shit.
You go on his podcast, that changes your career.
Yeah.
You are now a success, or if you fuck up, then you've tanked your career.
It always reminds me of something I heard about Kevin Hart, where when he started doing movies, he had been doing stand-up comedy for so long, became like what he called, the stand-up comedy rock star, whatever. He built up his social so huge, and then he goes to do a movie,
Yes.
and then the studio was like, cool, yeah, and then we're gonna, you'll post from your
You'll post,
Facebook,
yeah,
and he's like,
whoa.
I mean, yeah, if you pay me more,
If you pay me, that's mine.
yeah,
That
I
doesn't
built
belong
that
to
shit.
you. Yes.
And then in a lot of studios
Changes
were just
everything.
hanging out with their dicks in their hand, and they were just like, whoa, no one's ever done this. And
No
he's
one's
like,
ever
well,
done that.
I'm not just somebody, like it's a new game. This is how we're doing this. And Joe, in a much less like confrontational way, kind of did the same thing where he's like, I'm just gonna make my own thing.
Yeah.
And not that,
One of my
it's that fucking easy, but
You know what's funny about him too? If you really analyze Rogan's sort of method of doing things,
Mhm.
he has almost no rules and no there's no plan. There's no consistency to his uploads. There's no time promise. He doesn't promise people anything. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. Sometimes it's 4 hours long. It'll literally go from that range. The average time is probably about 3 hours.
well, that's the irony of Joe, is that part of the reason, you have to think that part of the reason his podcast got so big is because he didn't give a fuck if it ever got big.
Zero fucks. Like more zero fucks than anyone ever.
And the audience can feel that when he's
So
stoned.
genuine.
He's stoned and he can barely fucking open his eyes, and he's got his fucking chin on both of his hands like he's a little girl listening to his dad tell him a story.
Yeah.
And it's some like neuroscientist going off about some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And as the audience, you're hearing this and going, what? And then just as you're thinking that, Joe just goes, what? And so
It's just like you. Yeah. He's just a fucking bro.
you're just like, that's so sick, because this is
Yeah.
like, because Joe is the everyman.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's people are starving for it, man. You listen to news anchors and CNN bullshit. It's just so like, and now back to CNN. No one talks that way.
And he'll
It's
shit on
so
that, too.
fucking- yeah,
He does it with politicians and news correspondents. Why do they all
Why
have
do
their
they do
way
that?
of talking?
it's really bizarre.
Like he'll always say that politicians are like, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah,
blah,
blah.
blah,
And if
blah,
you notice, they always do the thumb thing.
Yep, they're always
Even
like,
Obama does it,
Yep.
and they'll do that, and it's a trained way of talking
yes, yeah.
that no one in the real world ever does.
And he just lifts the lid on it, and he's like, they just need to be real. And then he does exactly what he's saying. And I honestly would rather him interview, like when Lance Armstrong was on, I was like, fuck yeah, that is, if I could pick anybody to interview him, it would be
him.
It would be Joe Rogan, because he's so great at understanding the balance of
Yes.
push on him a little bit. And also he's like, he wants to get the truth, but he's also intelligent enough to know he's a fucking superior arguer. That's the thing, is that if you ever, and I'm sure you've already seen it, but if you haven't and you get bored, or anybody listening, just Google or YouTube search Joe Rogan versus Brian Dunning.
Oh God,
It's the fucking
I feel bad for that
it's
guy.
the judo argument. This Brian Dunning dude is basically telling Joe Rogan, who's been doing doing martial arts since he was 16 or something. I don't know, 17. Maybe even well before that. But he's trying to tell Joe Rogan that in a bar one time, this guy ran at him. He used his own motion to throw him down with force, and he's just sounding kind of like a tough guy.
Yep.
And Joe not only
He's like,
eviscerates him,
That's not true.
but then Brian, who's an intelligent guy, he
Yeah.
tries to get in and out of the argument. And in a verbal sense, Joe had him by the throat and was like, no, stay here. You started this shit. We're going to talk about it.
Right.
And you see Brian Dunning squirm, and you're just like, that.
Oh, it's terrifying.
That takes effort, because I can imagine if that were me talking to Brian Dunning, I might just be like, okay, cool, it's getting confrontational, so I'm going to back off a little, or I don't know how to pin him to these claims that he's making. It's the perfect balance for me.
Yeah, he can. Joe can be a bit of a bully sometimes, which I
Right,
don't
right.
like. But he can. But you also like that about him. Like,
Yeah.
he's super. He'll fucking smack you.
Yep.
And the funny thing about that show too is like that we do more thought put into our podcast than he does
Oh yeah.
in many ways.
Yep.
Like they don't edit. It's always live. And again, there's no rules. Like we post every Wednesday. Like the Fighter and the Kid, those guys are like really structured. Brendan Schaub is very the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like you can count us on uploading these days. We have interns, we have this, and we have that, and there's like segments, and that's a little bit more our style already. We're probably more like that. And Rogan is just like, sit down and talk, and it's up, and it's for free. It's on YouTube. It's on everything.
I think that's
It's
intentional
nuts,
too, because
man.
he wants his guests to
No breaks.
to feel that way too as well. Like,
All the ads are up front.
just get here, come chill.
Yep.
It's like I honestly think part of what makes his interviews so sick is that and some interviewees have even said this, they forget that this is going out to millions of people.
Millions of people.
And that's a skill.
I know.
Despite there being a fucking microphone in your face and headphones on your ears, you just start talking to Joe like you're just hanging out in his...
You go to the Tonight Show, because he's had like, you know, big name rock stars and comedians or whatever. Bill Burr is the type of guy who will do the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show in one week, and the next week he's on Rogan's podcast. And Bill Burr's even talked about that same thing. Like, you know, you go do the Tonight Show, you have to get there 3 hours early. You get in this backstage green room thing. There's hair and makeup. There's a rehearsal. There's okay, do you want to talk about these points? Talk about that. We'll do a commercial break. We come back. It's very structured. There's so much time to get nervous, right?
Yeah.
Right? And people are not really authentically them. And it's also really short amounts of time.
Well, and the interview is completely fabricated.
It's fabricated, and we all
the
know
host
it.
gives the comedian setups.
Yep. They all do their bits that they do on stage. It's like, it's just so lame.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that experience, but then you go and do something like the Rogan podcast where you just show up, he's like smoking a joint.
Yeah.
You just sit down and then you're just talking. But that's going to reach far more people in real time, not even just like total downloads, but the amount of people that are watching that show live. I don't do it very often, but there are a whole set of people who watch that show live.
That's so crazy.
Crazy. I know.
It's got to be a guest that I'm just like beyond psyched about, you know?
Yeah, I know, me too.
But even then, I'm not gonna watch the whole fucking thing. They're long as shit, dude. They're like 3 hours.
So
who has
long.
3 hours in the middle of the day?
I know. It's fucking insane. I think that's kind of all I had for fun things to bring up. I want to mention something that I did last night that was really, really fucking fun, Alan. I got to tell you.
Oh, I'm pumped.
So my wife and I, we are going to bed, and my wife is actually in bed, fucking covers on, reading a book, like getting sleepy time, right?
If you tell me you did doggy style for the first time last night,
oh, we did.
I'm gonna.
That'd be the
I did
weirdest.
this fun ass shit, dude. It's
so
called
fucking
doggy
dope.
style.
It's called so what you do is you have her turn around. No, so I'm like doing my thing. I'm getting ready to go to bed, and my wife is like, "What the fuck is that smell? That smells like fucking shit." And our girl cat Minerva, my baby girl, is sleeping on. She always sleeps on my wife's head, basically like right on her head.
Oh no!
And she's like, "Ugh, what is that fucking ugh?" And we always make fun of this cat for being disgusting. Like, ugh, she's gross.
She's just a mess.
She's just fucking disgusting. But it smells like fucking poop, like poo-poo. So we're like, is it her? What the fuck? We look in her fucking. It looks like she's wearing riding pants, like equestrian horse riding pants. Like her butt is just like super thick with fur.
Yeah.
And so we're like, like blowing on the fur and digging through, and we find this like pancake size.
Oh my god!
Shit, that's like a dreadlock shit pancake, like hair and shit.
And if you're smelling it, it's fresh,
dude. It's so bad.
It's chilling.
And she was laying on my wife's head in the pillows. So we fucking quarantine her in the bathroom, and we're trying to like find the shit. Long story short, we had to like get scissors out and cut this shit dread off.
Oh my!
We're wiping her ass
right before bed too.
Right before bed.
Your brain is in like go to sleep mode.
Oh my god!
No, clean this fucking pancake shit.
Pancake shit. There's like a stack of towels and like wet wipes, a mountain high.
Oh god!
The bathroom is just like poopy water, cat poop everywhere. We had to fucking try to give her a bath, which is really cool with a cat.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, she's trying to kill us. Just trying to fucking murder us.
It's just I like the idea of the cat
cool.
not understanding why it needs it's like, bro, I was fine.
I know. I'm like
it's
trying
like,
to talk
for
to
sure
it.
We're not fine.
Yeah, she keeps looking at me like, I trusted you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
What are you doing to me?
Yeah. It's a little bit of shit on my ass.
Yeah.
Enough to smell it in the room. And
so that was a pretty cool thing that happened.
Damn.
All right, let's do a quick movie pick and let's get out of here.
Okay.
My movie pick of the week is a delicious film called Green Room. Came out, I think, 2 years ago now, something like that. And really fucking dope movie. And my good friend Michael Draper, who was the singer in the band I used to play in, he is in the movie. He's an actor, and if you blink, you'll miss him. But he is in the movie, and it's a story about, which is kind of fitting for our audience. It's a story about a band on tour, and they're rolling through Oregon, and that's kind of cool because it's filmed in the coastal hills of Oregon. And they go and they get their shows canceled or whatever reason, and so they get a last minute show booked at this building, and it's like out in the middle of nowhere. And then they come to find out that they're like skinheads, like racist skinhead dudes. And then some shit goes down in the green room at this venue, and I don't want to do any spoilers. It's dark. It's really well written. Patrick Stewart is in it. The girl from Arrested Development that played Maybe is ironically in it. She's like the guitar player in the band or whatever. The kid that played the Russian character Data from Star Trek, he was in it.
Who's the lead in it?
He's technically the lead.
Oh, okay.
He's like the singer of the band, or guitar player or something, whatever the band.
Okay.
And they're like a punk rock, like hardcore band. And they're a little provocative, and they kind of push back on the skinhead vibe, which was not a good idea.
Nope, never is.
Dude, it's so good.
Just accept the skinheads, man. Quit pushing back.
All right, let's do the trailer.
Okay, I'm with the Ain't Rights from Washington, D.C. You guys are hard to find. Want to know social media presence?
Music is shared live. It's time and aggression. You gotta be there.
Sorry, guys, gotta clear out. You follow me?
And then it's over. Holy shit.
I told you to follow. Hey, stop! No!
You can't keep us here. You gotta let us go.
We're not keeping you. You're just staying. We're so fucking dead, guys.
What do we do? Oh, shit.
This will be over soon, gentlemen.
What are they doing?
They're coming.
We gotta go.
And we die.
How long can we wait?
For sure that is.
Is that a pep talk? Just grab some shit, get ready to run.
Here we go.
I see the bad moon horizon. I see trouble on the way.
They're everywhere!
You breathing? Let him bleed.
Careful now.
I can't die here.
So don't.
It's fucking hard, man.
Yes.
Dude,
There
did he
it
have that
is.
guy in a fucking arm bar?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of fight stuff, that he's like the drummer in the band. I want to say.
Yeah.
He's a jujitsu kid.
Ah,
So
okay.
It comes in handy.
Dude, I like the idea as of Patrick Stewart as a bad guy.
And he's a bad guy, like super, super bad.
That's fucking tight.
Yeah, he's like a violent, racist, fucking terrible guy.
I'm 100% going to watch that tonight.
Yeah, the guy who wrote and directed that movie, his name is escaping me, but he's done a few other movies I really like.
Dude, I've been wanting to tell you, you have like, I don't know if it has anything to do with you, but I have become like a little bit of a cinephile.
Oh, good.
Like
That's so cool.
I am download like
Well,
just,
you've seen a bunch of shit. I mean, I remember.
Oh yeah, I've seen movies for sure, and I don't know. I liked them more. at a different point in my life. But I mean,
Right.
just like I downloaded all these and I just have been jamming these Fahrenheit 11/9. I just watched that. It was
Nice.
typical Michael Moore movie.
Yep.
Black Klansman is on deck. I haven't seen it yet. I watched this, dude. I feel like
is
you
that?
would love this. The Bill Murray stories, Life Lessons.
I haven't seen that.
Dude, I hadn't even heard of it, and I just found it when I was fucking pirating all these movies. It was one of them.
Yeah.
And it is the most fucking endearing, kind of touching story about how, and it's not even a story, it's an amalgamation of stories that are, you know, when you hear those urban legends about how some guy's at a urinal and he's pissing and then he feels two hands go over his eyes and he just hears some guy go, "No one will ever believe you."
Oh.
And he turns around and it's Bill Murray.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, "Oh, that's what you meant by no one." And then another time where these high school kids are having a little house party and Bill Murray shows up and does their dishes and then bails.
Yeah.
Like the documentarian, he goes and he visits these individuals that claim these stories, looks at their pictures, he checks out video evidence and like confirms all of these stories and then like builds this whole this like really beautiful meaning to life. Like, why does Bill do this?
That is so cool.
Why does he get off on like kind of showing up and just being one of the guys? He doesn't, and there's video of him at a house party and he's just hanging out in the corner. He's not standing on a coffee table being like, "I'm a fucking celebrity." It's just,
There's a ton of Bill Murray stories. Yeah.
It's so fucking cool. It was one of the coolest things that I watched, and it was literally just because it had to do with Bill Murray, who I'm a huge fan of.
There's a video, I think it might be on YouTube. I remember seeing it. Some guy's in like a hallway and he sees Bill Murray at the end of the hallway and he says something like, "Hey," like he yells to him like, "Hey, I love you, Bill Murray," whatever, which is super weird to do. And Bill Murray looks at him and then he just straight up takes off at a full sprint towards the kid, just fucking running at him like he's going to kill him. And then he just stops and they both just kind of look at each other and they both start laughing. And he like shakes his hand, says some shit and walks away.
That's so tight.
Yeah, dude.
I love that shit. That's what I would do if I had that kind of notoriety. All of a sudden, like the money and the like typical fame would be boring. I'd be like, I kind of want to go against the grain a little bit.
Yep.
Let me color outside the lines.
Yeah, I would photobomb a lot.
Yep.
Like the whole Dave Chappelle photobombing someone's wedding. Did you hear about that?
I did.
So good.
Yeah, one of the stories in the Bill Murray thing is that he photobombs an engagement shoot.
Yes.
And they interview the photographer and they say that he was on like a guided tour around not Maryland.
This is Bill Murray. So?
Yeah, South Carolina or some shit. He's out there a lot. Anyway, the photographer is taking pictures and then they hear like a voice and they turn around and he's got like the mic. He's on this like, I want to say it was like a trolley or some shit. And then just jokingly, the photographer was like, "Come take some pictures." And he just hopped down and he did it. And now they just forever
will have that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so fucking cool.
It was great. It was really, really good.
I'll check that out. I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this mofo up.
Absolutely.
Thanks again to Lou for being on the show. Anything you want to say about Lou and the band, where people can find them?
Yeah, I think they're just We Are Palisades, at We Are Palisades on Instagram. Their album Erase the Pain came out December 28th, and it's the shit. Check them out.
And they're on Rise.
Yeah, they're on Rise Records. You can scope it out on Spotify, wherever you jam your music.
Fuck yeah, dude. Super cool band, super cool guy. Go support people doing good shit.
Yeah, they're going to be on tour with, I think in February with Of Mice and Men. And,
oh, wow. Cool.
And another band. I want to say Nothing More, but I don't know if that's...
Sweet.
It sounds like a band.
Sounds like a band.
Pretty sure they're headlining, so that's disrespectful of me to not know. But yeah, they'll be out. They'll be doing some shit.
Very cool. You guys know what to do. Please subscribe to the show if you haven't already. And the biggest favor you can do if you like the show is to show the support by sharing it with your friends. Tell people about the show. That means everything to us. Leave a review on iTunes, rate and review the show. That also helps immensely. iTunes is a black hole of podcasts, and the only way to rise up and to get out there so that people will hear our goddamn show is for people to leave reviews. It matters a lot. We're on Spotify. A lot of people don't know that. We are on Spotify, and the audio is uploaded to YouTube at the same time. So if iTunes doesn't work for you, let people know there are other options. There's more options than that. Like we're on iHeartRadio. There's a direct link. You can just have like a web browser. So yeah. And if you have a problem finding the show, or anyone that you talk to has a problem finding the show, just contact Alan or I, and we will direct you to the right place.
Definitely. I would also say, most importantly, if you've been involved in a school shooting, it doesn't make you cool.
No.
It doesn't make me care about what you have to say.
No. At all. And that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've been involved in a school shooting, I don't want you listening to the show anyway.
Yeah.
Because I'm being totally serious right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You're clearly bad luck. So don't listen to our show. Don't put that shit on us. And
and just remember, if you say something into a microphone, then it's true.
Yep.
That's it. I don't know what to do for you.
Exactly. It's a superpower, man. You can say shit you don't mean and piss off dummies.
Yeah.
So if you're mad right now, guess what?
Guess what?
You're dumb.
Don't know what to do for you. Also, we said it last time, and we're going to keep saying it. Something we are trying to get out there as much as possible. If you're in a band, or you run a small company, or you have an art project, or just a thing you want people to know about, consider sponsoring the show, sponsor an episode. You can even just start there, and we will promote your thing for you. That would be a good working relationship, as they say.
Yeah, and we can do it more than just like on the audio podcast itself. We can post from socials and shit like that. Get a little bit wider of a spread.
Absolutely. That's a good point. All right, guys. Well, we will be back here at the same time next week. We have a few guests booked out now for a few weeks, it sounds like.
I'm pumped.
Knock on wood that no one cancels, but we're doing the best we can.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a great Christmas break, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Love you.
Later.
Bye.